Monday from Dunedin to Seminole and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full-court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. Buckle up. Because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Welcome aboard on this Monday morning quarterback edition of the show. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. The Drive with TKras, presented by Moss Nissan, is on the air. Great to have you with us. Executive producer Chris Mathis riding shotgun. And you there. We are live in living color, don't you know? And 95.3 on the FM side, the mighty AM 620. And don't forget to download the iHeartRadio app absolutely free. Crystal clear reception through the app. It is awesome. Check it out. There are new and improved features on the iHeartRadio app. There are presets. There are scans, so you can go in and preset your favorite radio station, WDAE, your favorite podcast, The Drive Podcast, because commercial-free podcasts of this pathetic show can be accessed through the iHeartRadio app, so get on it. And good afternoon to all of you who are watching us on this Inauguration Monday, on this MLK Jr. Day. We are streaming the show on Facebook, YouTube, and X.
Great.
It is great. At 953 WDAE and AM 620. Like and subscribe all day, every day. Plenty of time for your phone calls. 888-546-4620. That's the number after an action-packed weekend of sports extravaganza and entertainment. And you can text your thoughts in at 82945 on the Bartow 4 DAE text platform, where standard message and data rates do apply there. And all guests will appear via the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DAE hotline. We got a big show. We'll take you all the way up until 6:30. We're off at 6:30 tonight because we will be carrying the college football playoff national championship game tonight. Ohio State on one side, Notre Dame on the other. Who you got? We're going to get into that. Brett McMurphy will join us coming up at 3:30, college football insider for the Action Network. And he broke a very big story today about the big game coming to our own backyard. And we'll also get his thoughts on the Natty coming up tonight, as the kids like to call it. And Bill Belichick and everything else. How long might he stay at North Carolina? Should he be renting, not buying? I think that's an appropriate question, too. But we'll get into it. Brett McMurphy will be with me at 3:30. And then at 4:30, or is it 5:30, Chris Mathis? Did I get a mix up?
5:30 for good, bad, and ugly.
That's right. The good, the bad, and ugly from what we saw over the weekend has nothing to do with you, Todd Bowles.
Hey, he didn't.
Aside from the fact that you're not even playing anymore. Maybe that's bad and ugly. But we're going to get into the good, the bad, and the ugly from what we saw over the weekend.
Oof.
And we're going to get into that at 5:30, plus it calls and texts, 3.5 hours of sports talk extravaganza, the likes which you have never seen. So a lot to do on this beautiful Monday, a little nipply out there, so be careful. All right, be careful. And it's a momentous occasion, obviously, with the inauguration taking place today. And, of course, MLK Jr. Day. And I know a lot of you are benefiting from having a day off. Not me, not Chris Mathis. We're here grinding, baby. But let's remember for what today is truly all about. It's MLK Jr. and the fight and the legacy that he led when it came to equality across this great country of ours. So it's a momentous day. It's going to be a great day. So much football to get into. My goodness. 4 extraordinary games over the weekend, and now we're down to the Final Four. The championship Sunday matchups are all set, and we'll certainly have a lot of time to get into it. Who won? Who lost? The ramifications of what you saw over the weekend, plus what the Bucs and their fans were thinking about. That is the theme of our opening drive here on a Monday.
Start the engine. Gas to the floor. Here's the opening drive.
And the opening drive here on the program brought to you by the award-winning Chattanooga Whiskey 91, available at your favorite Tampa retail store. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey, and as always, enjoy responsibly. Wow, what a weekend of football. And everyone's buzzing about the game last night between Baltimore and Buffalo. That was the game that I was most looking forward to. And I know a lot of you were looking forward to that game as well. And it turned out to be every bit as good as we all thought it could be. And then some. Not if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan necessarily, but if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, I mean, you are flying higher than a kite, which most of you are, normally.
No.
What?
Insulted him
I'm not insinuating anything like any recreational drug use, Chris Mathis. People, can do whatever they want as long as it doesn't affect me. But you know how Bills Mafia are, and a lot of Bills fans. Let me tell you, I didn't realize, personally for me, how many Bills fans that I know until you go on social media, until you go on Facebook, and then all of a sudden these Bills fans are popping up left and right. And look, they've been Bills fans for a long time. Maybe I just didn't recognize the fact that he's a Bills fan. She's a Bills fan. But all of a sudden, I got Bills fans everywhere. They're all around me. And they're not bad people. They're great people. Every Bills fan I know, they're really good people. Steve Weintraub of the Golden Diamond Source. He's a great dude. Big Bills fan and has been for many, many years. His lovely sister, Patty Weintraub, also a big Bills fan. I got a friend of mine, Krista. I've known she's been a Bills fan for the longest time. But she's a Bills fan, so she's higher than a kite. All you Bills fans, boy. And look, I get it. Long-suffering Bills fans. You've lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. I understand the angst that everything that it becomes, it's all-encompassing. When you're a Bills fan, you've been through a lot. You've had some positive moments, but you've never won a Super Bowl. But now it certainly appears that it's well within reality. Now, you just got to get past that guy named Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. And look, the Bills handed them their only loss of the regular season. So it's not like they're going to be lacking confidence going into that game. I think the Bills will be very confident. And I give them a really good chance at winning that game in Arrowhead next weekend in the AFC title game. But we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. But that game last night was stupendous. The Bills and Josh Allen, they played a smart game. And there was a common theme that came out of all 4 divisional playoff games that you saw over the weekend. The Bills, the Chiefs, the Commandos, the Eagles. All 4 of those teams won their games. And all 4 of those teams did not turn it over, not once. 0 turnovers for the Bills. 0 turnovers for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Same thing, Jaden Daniels and the Commandos in that sparkling performance on Saturday night in upsetting the Lions in Detroit. They didn't turn the ball over. The Eagles didn't turn the ball over. Saquon Barkley rushes for over 200 yards. But all the winning teams did not turn it over. The single biggest reason why you win or lose games in the NFL, especially when it comes to playoff time, are turnovers. Period. Lions, 5 turnovers, lost. The Rams had a couple of big turnovers. Matthew Stafford fumbled. Kyron Williams fumbled, and they turned out to be costly mistakes. And you saw, a couple of mistakes made by Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson threw 4 interceptions total throughout the regular season. He threw 1 bad pick early, and then, of course, he had the fumble that was returned. The Bills got points off that fumble. Turnovers. You can be so much better than your opponent, but like the Lions found out on Saturday night, if you're -5, you're dead meat in the playoffs. And you saw that with the Ravens yesterday. Not only the two mistakes and turnovers made by Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, in the second half was tremendous. And he led the Ravens on that comeback. And he bought time in finding Isaiah Likely for that touchdown to get him to within 2 with under 2 minutes left. And then came the ill-fated 2-point conversion. And for those of you who are old enough to remember Jackie Smith from the Super Bowl many moons ago, I think he just might have been vindicated based on what you saw last night from Mark Andrews on that 2-point conversion play. All by himself, by the pylon. Lamar Jackson threw it perfectly. You got to catch the ball if you're Mark Andrews. And he lost a fumble earlier in the game. He had a big turnover too. Absolute nightmare, which is something he's going to be thinking about this entire offseason. The fumble that got punched out of his hands in the fourth quarter and then dropping the 2-point conversion. He's a terrific player, Mark Andrews is. Any day of the week. But he picked an awful time to have the worst game of his NFL career. Lamar Jackson, after the game, was obviously visibly upset. And you can certainly understand why. And he knows and understands the opportunity that slipped right through his fingers, figuratively and literally. Here's Lamar from after the game.
And like I've been saying all season, every time we're in situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers, we can't have that, you know? And that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. It's hold on to the ball. I'm sorry for my language. Annoying.
I'm tired of it, he goes. Hold on to the blanking ball. Lamar Jackson failed to do it. Mark Andrews failed to do it. That's why the Ravens are home. And the Bills are in the AFC Championship game. And I'll say this. The Ravens had all the momentum. And Derrick Henry had a big drop, too, down the left sideline. That could have been a touchdown. Big drop by Derrick Henry, who had just 5 yards rushing in the fourth quarter, by the way. I know they were behind. They had a throw. I get it. But had Mark Andrews held on to that, and who's to say, I don't know, if Josh Allen would have went down the field and maybe made something on that final drive. I do know this. The Bills were not very good at throwing the football. Neither were the Eagles. They were relying on their run game to try and carry them through. But the Bills had only 127 yards passing on 16 completions by Josh Allen. So I think if Mark Andrews holds on to that ball, tie game, that game goes into overtime. And maybe the Ravens come back and win that game. But woulda, coulda, shoulda, that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about Lamar Jackson with 2 costly mistakes and Mark Andrews with 2 absolutely unforgivable and unforgettable mistakes that he's going to be thinking about not only this entire offseason, but for the rest of his career, maybe the rest of his life. It was right there. My goodness.
The only thing he did good, Tom, yesterday were the so-called quarterback sneaks. Mark Andrews did okay there. Aside from that, pitiful.
No, he's a terrific player. There's no doubt. But he made 2 really big mistakes, costly mistakes, at an inopportune time for his team. So, you got to feel for Lamar Jackson. He's probably going to win his 3rd MVP. He's had a great year, but his playoff failures are going to be magnified even more so for the rest of his career until he gets over that hump. He got to the AFC title game last year, couldn't get it done, couldn't get over the hump. And as we mentioned on the show Friday, one of these 2 teams is going to be crushed. Crushed. Because both of these teams are Super Bowl caliber teams, the Bills and the Ravens. And one of these 2 fan bases, we said on Friday, would be absolutely decimated. And this morning or this afternoon on this Monday, it's the Ravens. Decimated. And now the Bills move on. Josh Allen. By the way, I love Josh Allen, but you know what? Stop with the garbage talk after the game. Nobody expected anything of us. We're too small. We're too weak. Give me a break. That's garbage. Come on. I love the guy, but no one expected anything from us. Oh, shut up. Give me a break. Again, I love the guy, but when I heard that, I'm like, come on, put a sock in it, dude. 888-546-4620.
You'd keep your mouth shut if you knew it was good for you,
Yeah,
buddy.
exactly. Now, the game on Saturday night was stunning. And I got to tell you, I was dead wrong about the Commanders because I thought the Lions on a bye week, getting guys healthy, Aaron Glenn doing his thing defensively, Lions being at home, juggernaut of an offense, I thought they would put up 35 to 40 points. I mean, they put up 31. Problem is, they could not stop Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, who put up 45, including 28 in the second quarter. And again, you can be a much better team on paper than the opposing team, but if you turn it over 5 times, you're losing. And the other team doesn't turn it over at all. And again, that was a common theme from every playoff game we saw over the weekend. The winning teams did not turn it over, not once. Combined, 0. All of them. And Jaden Daniels with the RPO working, he was prolific. He showed great accuracy. And in that hostile environment, and we saw it here the previous weekend in that wild card game against the Buccaneers, nothing phases this young man. He is truly special. And when I made the statement last week that Jaden Daniels is going to win a Super Bowl, man, I wasn't thinking about this year. He's got a chance. I think he could get to a Super Bowl as a rookie, which would make him the greatest rookie quarterback that has ever played, the greatest rookie season that a quarterback's ever had. He's certainly right on that trajectory. And he was masterful on Saturday night, as was their defense. Their defense was opportunistic. I didn't like, some of those trick plays that Ben Johnson was running. I mean, late in the game, you're trying to come back. You're putting the ball in Jamison Williams' hands on a gimmick play, and he throws an interception. Come on. I mean, there's a time and place for everything, and I love his creativity and his innovative play calling, but that was not the time to have your wide receiver throw one of the biggest passes of the season while you're attempting to make a comeback. 1 of 5 turnovers on the night. And they ran for over 200 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs was great. The Commanders could not stop that guy on the ground and through the air. But Jared Goff made some terrible decisions. He turned it over 4 times. He had 3 interceptions. He lost the fumble. This defense of the Washington Commanders is not talked about as much as their offense is. But Jeremy Shinn had a big game. He had an interception. He had 12 tackles. He came through in a very big way. And the other part of it is this. The Commanders' offensive line, which lost Sam Cosmi to a torn ACL, maybe their best lineman. So that's going to be a big loss, especially this weekend when you have to deal with Jalen Carter and company. But the Lions could not get any pressure on Jaden Daniels, and that was another reason why they lost that game on Saturday night. That was an epic performance by the Commanders. Epic. And Dan Quinn gave Dan Campbell a taste of his own medicine, if you've noticed. Because Dan Campbell is very much the riverboat gambler. We're going for it. If it's somewhat close, we're going to put pressure on the opposition. We're going to go for it on 4th down. And Dan Quinn turned the tables on him, in essence. Because the Commanders were 3 for 4 on 4th downs. Just an incredible performance by them. They're in the NFC title game. I think a lot of people who weren't rooting for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders will absolutely be rooting for him, only because the team on the other side is a team that's not very likable, in my opinion, nor is their fan base. And I'll give the Eagles credit because they did what they had to do to win that game yesterday, because Jalen Carter, the pride of Apopka, was tremendous. There was a bad fumble by Kyron Williams, a bad one by Matthew Stafford. Look, you're from Southern California. You're not used to playing in the snow. And that's the thing about playing in those conditions when it's freezing cold outside, when there's snow coming down. You have to be extra protective when it comes to that football. Ball security takes on even more importance. When you get that ball in your hands, you got to protect it, especially once contact is made. Because in games like that, and you saw the snow games in Buffalo, in Philadelphia, when there are elements involved, when it's bitterly cold, when it's snowing left and right, you've got to have even more protection on that football. And the Rams didn't do it. They're not used to playing in that sort of condition. Now, I give them credit because it looked like the Eagles were running away with that game at, 28-15. And then the Rams made a big comeback, and they were actually driving for the game-winning touchdown. And then Jalen Carter came up with a very big sack, one of the biggest plays of the game. And Saquon Barkley just continues an incredible season. 26 carries, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And I'll say this, and not a whole lot of people are going to talk about this, but when I watch that game, and I try and watch games pretty closely, you want to talk about guys who are going to be thinking about, their indiscretions or their bad play this offseason. Mark Andrews will certainly be thinking about his. I think Lamar Jackson's frustrated. He's certainly going to be thinking about the 2 mistakes that he made, even though he led a great comeback, only to be failed by his star tight end. But if you watch that Rams-Eagles game, Rams safety Cameron Curl will be thinking about those 2 long touchdown runs by Saquon Barkley this entire offseason. He was brutal yesterday in that game. Brutal with a capital B. Go back and watch it. Number 3 for the Rams. He took the 2 worst angles I've ever seen a safety take on those 2 long touchdown runs by Saquon Barkley. Cameron Curl was pitiful yesterday for the Rams. And you'll go back and watch it, and I'm sure he's going to be replaying it in his own head. But what a disaster he was. A disaster. Those 2 long touchdown runs. And look, there are 10 other guys on defense with him. I certainly get that part of it. But go back and watch those 2 touchdown runs. Watch number 3. Just awful, awful angles that he took on both plays. He missed both tackles, and they both ended up going for long touchdown runs. My goodness. But we saw 4 tremendous games over the weekend, and now we're down to 2. Championship Sunday. 2 division rivals will square off in the NFC title game. Washington will square off against Philadelphia up in the city of brotherly love. And I will give the Commanders more than a puncher's chance of winning that game, because you're talking about a rookie quarterback that is absolutely one of the more poised and composed rookies I've ever seen playing that position in a very long time, if not ever. Ever. Is this the best rookie season we've seen out of quarterback? The answer is probably yes. And there's a lot of people who agree with that sentiment, including a guy who knows all there is to know about having a great year as a rookie quarterback. Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud talked about how amazed he is about Jaden Daniels as well.
He's had the best rookie year of all time, and that's what records are meant. They're meant to break, and he's broken, a lot of things. I would say, as a person, he ain't had it easy.
Not easy, but you know what? He's 24, so he's a little bit older than the average kid, but nothing seems to faze this guy. He's incredible. And he makes very big plays with his arm. He makes very big plays with his legs. And look, we know how athletic and fast he is, especially from that LSU-Florida game from last year. But the thing that's really impressive, aside from the poise and the composure that this young man exhibits, is the fact that he's a really accurate passer, too. He made some pinpoint accurate passes that, you sit up in your chair and you're like, wow, that was an incredible throw. Drop in the bucket to only one place where his guy can get it. He is a special talent. And Washington has a lot of momentum. And I don't know if Philadelphia has enough oomph in their passing game to keep them honest, because Dan Quinn is very smart. He's calculated. I thought he outcoached Dan Campbell over the weekend, and now he gets to match his wits against Nick Sirianni and this Philadelphia Eagles team, who, by the way, lost to the Commanders late in the regular season. That was a 36-33 win, and that snapped the 10-game winning streak of the Eagles. So these two teams met about a month ago, and now they will see each other again with a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. And as for the other game, we know what's happening there. Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes. The Bills got the better of Kansas City during the regular season. Can they do it again at their place? I think they can. Your thoughts, 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. The good, the bad, and the ugly at 5:30. We'll take you all the way up until 6:30 on this beautiful Monday here in Tampa Bay. When we come back, the national championship game tonight on the college side of things. Who you got? Plus, the biggest game on the college circuit is coming to Tampa. Details on that from the man who broke the story, Brett McMurphy, college football insider. He will join me coming up next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Yes, sir. On this Monday, guys, it's yours truly on hand. And Chattanooga Whiskey 91. Look, if you're looking for a new bourbon to try out for the new year, man, I recommend the Chattanooga Whiskey. The award-winning 91 is fantastic. It's 91 proof. It's also light enough that you can mix it with an old-fashioned. It is great. It has such a smooth, distinct flavor. Tennessee high malt bourbon at its finest. Chattanooga Whiskey, by the way, has the 111. I've got that as well in my arsenal. The bottled and bond is also tremendous. Like a heavy-bodied, smooth bourbon. Chattanooga Whiskey's got it going on. I love it. You'll love it, too. And it's available at your local Tampa retail store. So
You up at night. eBay. Things people love.
Roll down the windows and the volume up. This is The Drive with TKras, courtesy of Moss Nissan on WDAE.
Welcome back on this Monday, 3:34 on your ride home. If anyone is out there working, I'm working. Mathis is working. And my next guest on the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DA hotline, learn more at cfbhn.org. He's working as well, and he broke a big story a few hours ago. Good friend of mine going from way back, college football insider Brett McMurphy from the Action Network is back with us here on The Drive. What's going on, Brett? How are you, bud?
Hey, TK. I figured, I've been holding that story for about 6 months, and I thought if you guys ever asked me to come back on, I'd break it so we could have something to talk about. Well, glad it worked out all right for us.
Perfect timing as well. So tell us about the story. The college football national championship game is coming to Tampa in 2029, right?
Yeah, it's great news for the Tampa area. The college football playoff commissioners in the coming probably weeks or months will officially announce it, but Tampa is getting the game in January of 2029. The game tonight obviously is at Atlanta. It's in Miami next year, and then it'll be Vegas, New Orleans, Tampa, and Miami. And Tampa will be one of just a few cities that have hosted the championship twice since the college football playoff started in 2014. And obviously, the economic impact it'll bring to the Tampa area and just the prestige of getting this game. And you add this to the, on top of, I reported this I guess it's been months now, time flies, that Tampa's also getting the Florida-Georgia game while they're renovating the Jacksonville Stadium. So a couple of, premier events coming to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, and that'll be great.
It will be great. Tampa Bay Sports Commission, Rob Higgins, kudos to those guys for getting these incredible A-plus events in our area. So you were able to break that story, and tonight we have the one up in Atlanta. You got Ohio State on one side, you got Notre Dame on the other side. Ohio State, the heavy favorite. They've been really impressive, Brett, as you know, in this college football playoff. This is the first installment of the 12-team format. I kind of like what Notre Dame has done, and Marcus Freeman. I think he's a tremendous coach, and defensively they can certainly get after it. But do they have enough horses to keep up with Ohio State, in your opinion?
Yeah, TK, I don't. I don't think they do. We can go into all the analytics and everything, and basically, keep it simple, stupid. Well, Ohio State has better players than Notre Dame, and the defenses are pretty similar, but there's a huge difference offensively. And you look at Notre Dame's path to the playoff. They beat Indiana, which that's fine. They beat Georgia, but you look a little bit closer in the Georgia game. Georgia had a backup quarterback. Georgia allowed a kickoff return for a touchdown. Georgia had a player bump into an official on the sideline that negated probably a touchdown. Georgia had multiple fourth and short miscues that gave Notre Dame first down and allowed them to keep the ball. So look, give Notre Dame credit, though, they won. And then against Penn State, they played a team that basically, their wide receivers had as many catches as we did during the playoffs, and that is 0.
Right.
And even with that, they needed a last-minute interception to win that game. So again, give them credit for doing all this stuff. But now I think you're not facing a backup quarterback. You're not facing a team that has no wide receivers. You're facing a team with arguably the most skilled talent players in the country, a two-headed monster at running back. You've got Smith at wide receiver. And you want to double them like Texas did? Great. They got other guys that'll eat you alive. I just think Ohio State's better. And Chip Kelly mentioned something to me Saturday during the media availability that kind of stuck out. He said that this year Ohio State really has not played as up-tempo as they would like, because you're playing 14, 15, 16 games. Well, if you're playing up-tempo, then you're exposing your players to more games, more plays, potentially more injury. So they basically took took their foot off the pedal, if you would. Well, you've got one game left. There's going to be no concerns about that. I think Ohio State goes up-tempo, which Chip loves to do. Look, it doesn't guarantee they're going to have a great deal of success, but I think they could get Notre Dame defensively. And then if Notre Dame falls behind, TK, and I think you agree, they don't have the offense.
They don't.
Behind. They need to control the game. They need to run the ball. And Ohio State's weak link is probably its cornerbacks. Notre Dame doesn't have the wide receivers to take advantage of that. I just think Ohio State's the better team. And, you know, it's a great story for Notre Dame and what Marcus Freeman has done. But I just think, you know, the better team wins. I think they cover the 8.5, 9 points. But, you know, we'll see. You know, there's stranger things have happened.
Well, they would have to get 2 or 3 turnovers, a big play on special teams in order to keep this game close. But, yeah, the talent disparity between both teams is glaring. We're talking about a Brett McMurphy, college football insider with the Action Network. He's with me here on the drive. And this first installment of the 12-team format, do you expect any tweaks in the coming years? And I wasn't, like, really fond of the whole seeding process and, you know, Boise State and Arizona State getting first-round buys. I didn't think those schools deserve them, to be quite honest. So do you see any tweaks to this formula moving forward?
For next year, it's possible, but it's unlikely because you have to have everybody agree because it's the last year of the 12-year contract of the playoff. So everybody, all commissioners, university presidents on the management committee, and even ESPN has to agree. With such a, you know, short time frame to get this in place before next season, it's probably not going to happen. But I definitely believe we'll see this going forward in 2026. You know, a number of people I talk to, commissioners, you know, they do believe the conference champions should get an automatic bid to the playoff. They just don't believe they should automatically get a top 4 seed. And if you take that, if you would have just ranked the teams based on the selection committee rankings, it's funny that the semifinals we had last week, those pairings would have happened in the quarterfinal round. And then the other 2 quarterfinal rounds would have been Oregon and Indiana. Oregon is the number 1 seed, and then Georgia, Tennessee in the other quarterfinal. So I think that's the change you'll see. Again, Chip Kelly, great quote. He told me, you know, look, I'm all for conference champions getting automatic bids like they do for the college basketball tournament. But he goes, I think we should do it like the college basketball tournament because if you win the Horizon League, you get a bid to the NCAA tournament, but you don't automatically become the number 1 seed.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest change we'll see. And I do think there's a possibility they could bump this up to 14 teams. Those decisions will be made in the coming months.
That's something that bears watching. All right, before I get you out of here, I want to get your thoughts on Bill Belichick. I thought he jumped the gun in taking the North Carolina job because now there's some NFL teams that might be interested in his services. So how long do you think Belichick will last at UNC, in your opinion?
Oh, God. That's a great question. I mean, I know, you know, what Mike Lombardi, his general manager at North Carolina, is saying, you know, publicly to everyone that will listen, tweeting and everything, that he's not going anywhere. He's happy there. But yeah, we're down to 5 openings now. I think he gets back in the NFL. I do think he'll spend 1 season in Carolina and then maybe get back into the NFL. I guess there's a very slim chance he could get back in this year. I just think he's gone through too much to leave Carolina out to dry like that, you know, to turn around and leave at the last second. But I think again, I'll put it this way. If he has an NFL opportunity after the 2025 season, I would expect to see him back in the NFL. The question is, will anyone give him that opportunity? And if so, I think he'll take it. And one other quick thing. I know a lot of people say, oh, he's not going to succeed in college. He hadn't coached in the college game. He doesn't know what's going on. That's garbage. Look, I'm not saying he's going to win the national championship. Definitely not saying that. I don't even know if they'll make the college football playoff. But you know what? he's smart enough that if he doesn't know something, he's going to find somebody that does, and he's going to hire them, and they will take care of any issues there may be as far as the differences between the college and the pro game. And, oh, by the way, he also can call his best friend Nick Saban and get the cliff notes on how to deal with any certain college situation. So it definitely kind of will be like a Deion-esque bump to North Carolina as far as media attention and publicity this coming year, that's for sure.
Well, you just mentioned Deion Sanders. In 20 seconds, does he stay at Colorado or does he take the Cowboys job?
I don't think Jerry offers it to him unless I've missed something. They've offered it to him. I think Jerry doesn't want somebody that's a bigger personality than he is, and so that's why I don't think it's Deion.
Brett McMurphy, college football insider, does a great job for the Action Network. Brett, we appreciate it. Great job on breaking the story. College football national championship game coming to Tampa in 2029, and enjoy the game tonight, my friend.
All right, thanks, buddy. Good talking to you.
Yep, likewise, Brett McMurphy. He and I go way back. I can tell you a couple of interesting stories that he did. He did one in particular, one on me. Oh, gosh, this was such a long time ago. I'll save that for some other time.
Yeah, you got to share that at some point.
No, not with you.
No?
888
come
I'm
on.
just joking. At some point I will. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. The good, the bad, and the ugly a little bit later on. We're on until 6:30, and then we will have play-by-play coverage of the national championship game, Ohio State against Notre Dame. Do the Irish have a fighting chance? We'll get your calls and texts on that and the NFL playoffs from over the weekend. Up next, the rich get richer in the world of baseball, and I absolutely hate it. Details next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's The Drive, and it's presented by our guys over at Moss Nissan, where the goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras and Chris Mathis alongside as well. And if you're shopping for a new or pre-owned vehicle in 2025, you got to head to Moss Nissan. Holiday hangovers have you down. Credit card debt maybe is getting you restricted. They've got the cure at Moss.
Yes, they do, Tom. No money down, plus no payments are due until the spring.
Which is great. Plus, with every Moss purchase, you'll get Moss Care, which is lifetime oil changes and tire rotations for as long as you own the vehicle. I've got Moss Care on my vehicle. That's why I've gone to Moss Nissan for my last two vehicles.
And you're going to get all of that plus more, including the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay.
You got that right. They've got 3 convenient locations. They're in Tampa, Newport Richey, and Brooksville. And they're also online at mossnissan.com. That's mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes. And we were just talking to Brett McMurphy about the college football national championship game tonight. You want to play some action on that game? Only one place to do it legally here in the state of Florida. It's the Hard Rock Bet app. So get on it. The biggest college football game of the year is upon us here tonight. Download the app. You can grab a big profit boost for the game, too, while you're at it on the Hard Rock Bet app, too. It's a beautiful thing. Also, we're down to Championship Sunday in the NFL. You can play some action on that. And when it's time for the big game as well, the Hard Rock Bet is going all out. They're rolling out over $5.9 million in bonus bets and so much more. And if you download the Hard Rock Bet app now on the Apple Store or on Google Play, if your first bet misses up to $100, you'll have a second opportunity to place another wager down. So get on it. Download the Hard Rock Bet app now and make that money, guys. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
oil change for an always quick but never rushed quality oil change. No appointment needed. Save $15 off your next oil change at VIOC.com. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. They'll get you back on the road in no time.
Country Thunder Florida comes to Raymond James Stadium May 2nd through 4th. Tickets at countrythunder.com.
Now, back to The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Breaking news out of the NFL. Fresh off their loss of the Commanders, the Lions coordinators are jumping ship. Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, will become the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. No surprise there. I think this is a brilliant move by the Bears. You do two things. One, you get an innovative offensive mastermind who's been with the Lions for 3 years calling plays. And I didn't particularly care for that wide receiver option pass with Jamison Williams on Saturday night. But I'm telling you, you watch the Lions, man. They run a lot of plays that I've never seen teams run before. And you've got to be prepared for just about everything. He is innovative. He was the hottest, maybe assistant coaching candidate available out there. And now he's headed to the Bears. And if you're the Bears, this is a slam dunk move, in my opinion. Because you do two things. One, you get a brilliant offensive mind to help out Caleb Williams. And two, and maybe more importantly, you weaken your divisional foe, the Lions, in the process. So a tremendous move by the Bears. Ben Johnson is going to be their new head coach. And according to Adam Schefter, Dennis Allen, the former beleaguered defensive coordinator and head coach who was fired by the Saints midseason, will be his defensive coordinator. I think that's a good role for him. Some people are better off being DCs and OCs than HCs, and he certainly fits into that category. You know, you're going to hear a lot of books. I think Bose fits into that category too. 888-546-4620. So that was the move. And I expect Aaron Glenn to jump ship this week as well. I think it's down to the Jets and the Saints. Both of those teams will have an in-person interview with Aaron Glenn this week. And I think by the end of the week, I think he chooses the Jets. I would. Not that the, Jets are like a great franchise. Right now they have the longest playoff drought in North American sports. All of the major sports, the Jets have the longest playoff drought, going on 15 years now.
Couldn't imagine being a fan of them. Oh, my gosh.
I couldn't imagine, being from a small town with no traffic lights, population 785. Yeah. But that's besides the point. But I think those are the two worst head coaching jobs available, the Jets and the Saints. But with the Saints, you're upside down on the salary cap. I don't like their roster. They have very few young players that you can rely on. At least the Jets have Quinnen Williams. They have Sauce Gardner. They have Garrett Wilson. They have Breece Hall. They've got some guys that you can perhaps build around. They don't have a quarterback either. But it'll be interesting to see what Aaron Glenn does. But I think it's between the Jets and the Saints. I think he picks the Jets, sentimental favorite, because he spent 9 years there. He was drafted by the Jets. He understands that market. Now, he did spend a few years as a Saints defensive assistant. That's why he's going to strongly consider them as well. All right, quickly on the baseball thing, because I know we got a break. I hate baseball right now. I hate the fact that there's a competitive imbalance that has taken place for so many years, and that so many teams are not able to compete with the big boys. I mean, if you're going to make this a sport that people can feel good about moving forward, and I like the rules changes, quickening the game and everything else, that's fine. But when you have teams like the Dodgers who are just loading up with former MVPs, they've got an all-star lineup, they've got an all-star rotation, they've got an all-star bullpen, how in the world can you compete with the Dodgers now? They got Roki Sasaki-san. He was highly sought after. And then over the weekend, they signed Tanner Scott to a free agent contract. 4 years, $72 million. He was probably the best reliever on the market. How could you compete with them? How could anybody? It's a joke. And the Players Union will never accept the salary cap, but there needs to be something done, a floor, a ceiling, something, to where other teams will have a puncher's chance. That's why the NFL is great. That's why the NFL is king. That's one of the reasons why. The gambling thing is also a big part of it, but you can gamble on baseball too, not quite to the extent of the NFL. But in the NFL, everybody's got a chance. Everybody. There's a cap. There's a structure in place that will allow the very worst teams to get better in a hurry. Look at the Commandos. They were 4-13 a year ago. Now they're 12-5 and in the NFC Championship game. It's stupid. By the way, if you're the Rays, the going just got tougher. This also just in. Anthony Santander leaving the Orioles, and he's going to the Toronto Blue Jays. 5 years, $92.5 million. So the Blue Jays get another big bat. You know what the Yankees have done after they lost Soto. You know what the Red Sox have done with the pitching improvements they've made. Right now, the Rays look like a third or fourth place team in the AL East. And that's tough.
Even though you everything we do.
Not everything, Kevin Cash, but you got to admit, you're the underdog, which I know the Rays relish, but without a viable offense, and I know Junior Camanero's tearing it up in the winter leagues, he's going to have to come in and he's going to have to be really, really great in order for the Rays to compete. All right, 1 hour down. We've got 2.5 hours to go. Coming up, more on the NFL, more on Ben Johnson, jumping ship. He's the new head coach of the Bears. Plus, the common theme from what we saw over the weekend. And if you were a Bucs fan or a Bucs player watching the playoffs, what did you get out of this weekend? I'll tell you about that, too, next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
It is The Drive, and it is presented by my guys over at Moss Nissan, where their goal is always to never lose your business over price. I bought my last two vehicles over at Moss Nissan because I love Nissan vehicles. They're awesome. They're well built, and I love the guys that I bought it from. Moss Nissan, they've been at this for years. Customer service and satisfaction is always their number one priority. Chris Mathis has experienced the Moss effect as well. And if you're thinking about buying a new or pre-owned vehicle here in 2025, head on over to Moss Nissan. Holiday hangovers, credit card debt, no problem. Moss Nissan has the cure.
That they do, Tom. Moss Nissan offering no money down plus no payments due until the spring.
Without question. Plus, you'll get Moss Care with every purchase. I've got it on my vehicle. It is awesome. It is a game changer. Their service department is outstanding. Their sales department is exemplary as well.
The math is easy. Simply go over to Moss Nissan for all of this and so much more, including the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay.
You can check them out. 3 convenient locations, North Tampa, Newport Richey, or Brooksville, or online. Check out their inventory as well.
Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up. Because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
And like I've been saying all season, every time we in situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers, we can't have that, you know? And that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. It's hold on to the ball. I'm sorry for my language. Annoying. I'm tired of
Frustration for Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback. I feel for him. He had a tremendous year. Yeah, he made a couple mistakes in that game. And again, the playoff failures will continue to follow him. But he was failed in a big way by star tight end Mark Andrews, who fumbled away a big catch in the fourth quarter and then dropped Jackie Smith style. If you're under the age of 30, Chris Mathis.
Yes, sir.
Google Jackie Smith, and then you'll understand the reference. Boy.
Nice game, pretty boy.
And Mark Andrews dropping that ball right by the pylon. Very reminiscent of Jackie Smith many, many years ago in the Super Bowl. Incredible. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. Welcome back. Hour number 2, 4:09 on your ride home on this MLK Jr. Day, on this inauguration day. The Drive with yours truly, presented by Moss Nissan. Chris Mathis on the other side. You on the phones, 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. Just a great game last night between the Ravens and the Bills. I'm looking forward to seeing what the ratings are going to look like. I think the ratings are going to be off the charts good. Sunday night, premier matchup. The top 2 MVP candidates, Lamar Jackson against Josh Allen. Just tremendous stuff. You know, Josh Allen, I didn't like what he said after the game. Nobody gave us a chance. Shut up. Give me a break. Come on.
Nice game, pretty boy.
And the pretty boy, you know, he had a good game. He threw for like $120 or whatever it was. And look, he's a tremendous player. More importantly, no turnovers. That was the theme. Turnovers are the big reason why teams win or lose games, especially in the playoffs. No turnovers. But the classy thing that Josh Allen did after the game, which I found very commendable, is that once the seconds ran down, that game was over, the first thing he did is he made a beeline towards the sideline, and he went right up to Lamar Jackson, who, remember, during the week said, Josh Allen, he ain't my friend this week. I'm trying to beat him. Josh Allen, very classy, went up to him, gave him a big hug, gave him a few words in his ear like, hey, you're going home. But what's his face? Bobby Wagner say to Greg Gaines?
Yeah, he said something to that extent. Yeah, you're going home, though.
Yeah, you're going home, though. I wonder if he said that to Lamar. But here's Josh Allen after the game on Lamar Jackson.
I just got so much respect and love for him. The way he plays the game, he's a true competitor. He's a true football player. One of the greatest to ever step on the football field. So nothing but love.
This is what he really meant.
I don't want to be associated with that guy. He's a loser.
Oh, come on.
No. You insulted him a little bit.
Oh, my God. I didn't do anything. That's Josh Allen. That's what he really meant to say.
All right.
I like Josh Allen. And you know what? I didn't realize how many Bills fans I knew. Oh, my goodness. They were coming out of the woodwork. Everywhere.
Who do you like better, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson? As far as the football player, as the quarterback. Long term, let's say for the next, we could do this for Would You Rather.
We could.
Yeah, we could save it.
Save it.
Yeah, we'll save on that.
And here's the one observation I will say, and I picked the Ravens to win this game, by the way. When I was watching Lamar pregame and I was watching Josh Allen is a very big man with big hands, too. And he's very good in cold weather games because he's a big man with big hands, which, really takes on even more importance in these cold weather games, whether it's freezing cold and or snow. Both were on display last night up in Buffalo. Both were on display in Philadelphia. And you saw who handles those games better, the teams that are more equipped, the teams, obviously, that have played in it, have practiced in it. If you're from Buffalo, if you're from Philadelphia, you're from Chicago, New York, you should be able to deal with the elements. And that should be a factor in you constructing your football team. But when you watch Josh Allen, it's a big dude with big hands and long. You know what they say about guys with big hands, Chris Mathis?
What's that, my friend?
They handle balls better. You know, in terms of ball security. That's what I'm talking about. Get your mind out of the gutter, Chris Mathis, and all of you out there.
You set me up for that one, though.
I did. It set you up. That's what I do. I set people up. Big hands, long fingers, ball security, man. That's what they say about guys with big hands. They handle the ball better. And when I watched Lamar's a Florida guy originally, isn't he? He's from Florida.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Went to Louisville. I'm not sure how many snow games he played up in Louisville. I guarantee you he saw 0 in his life here in Florida playing high school ball. And I saw him pregame, and you watch a guy's hands. Look at a guy's hands in the freezing cold. They're turning purple. Their knuckles are purple and reddish and stuff. So, I don't know. That was just an observation I saw before the game. Lamar didn't look all that comfortable, and it showed because he turned the ball over twice in the first half. The fumble was a bad play. He was trying to do too much. Von Miller picked it up. They went down the field. He returned it a good 30 or 40 yards. Bills got some points there. But I give Lamar a lot of credit because he bounced back. He had a couple of big drives in the fourth quarter. The big drive right at the end where he made another wonderful off-schedule throw, and he found Isaiah Likely right down the middle of the field for a touchdown. And then the two-point play was a brilliant call by Todd Monken. Mark Andrews leaks out into the flat right by the pylon, and the dude drops the ball. That's not Lamar's fault. But the narrative's going to be Lamar Jackson, again, failing in the playoffs. Yada, yada, yada. Mark Andrews failed the Ravens. Not Lamar Jackson last night. And Mark Andrews is going to be thinking about that for a very, very long time. The fumble, and then the drop pass by the pylon. Mathis, did you Google Jackie Smith?
I sure did. Yeah, the man's he's aging a little bit right now.
Well, I'm not talking about I'm talking about Jackie Smith, who played years ago.
Oh, yeah, no. He's 84. 84 years old.
I understand he's old. I'm talking about
no, the reference.
The reference. Yeah. Did you see the play?
I have not seen the play. I'm looking at images right now. Oh, yeah, I see it. Super Bowl, super moment. Smith drops, touchdown pass.
That's right. That was him.
He's a bum.
Ah, come on, man.
It was just a drop pass at the Super Bowl that, you know, was very, very popular. It was kind of like an iconic misplay, if you will.
He still made the Hall of Fame, though. Can we say that about Mark Andrews? I don't know about right now.
I don't know yet. I'm not going to put him in Canton yet. He needs to rebound. He's certainly going to be thinking about last night's game for a long, long time. It's going to be a long offseason for him. Very long. And Lamar Jackson's going to be thinking about it, too. He's like, what do I have to do? He's probably going to win his third MVP. He's going to win it. He threw 4 interceptions during the regular season, and every one of them was not his fault. And then he threw one early to Taylor Rapp, and then he had the fumble. But give him credit. He bounced back. That game should have went into overtime, and the Ravens would have had the advantage because they had all the momentum. Buffalo was kind of on roller skates a little bit, especially in that second half. And then you look at the other games, and here's what I'm going to say. We're going to talk about this with you, 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. The good, the bad, and the ugly coming up at 5:30. By the way, we're with you until 6:30 tonight because we've got live coverage, play-by-play of the College Football National Championship game, Ohio State against Notre Dame. You can listen to that right here on WDAE. But we're going to get into this more, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'll just say this. I have never, and I've been watching football a long time, not as long as some of you out there, I'm sure. I have never seen a team in my life get the benefit of the doubt from the officials more so than the Kansas City Chiefs. It is unbelievable how many breaks this team gets from the officials. And I am a proponent of the saying that you make your own breaks, whether it's football or life. But what you saw Saturday in that game against the Texans was just something that's going to, resonate in your mind. Like, why does this keep happening? The Chiefs in a 3-peat. Now, I'm not a big believer in the NFL being fixed. A lot of people are. A lot of people are into that conspiracy theory of the NFL being fixed. They want the Chiefs because of Mahomes, because of Andy Reid, because of the 3-peat. We've never seen a 3-peat before in the Super Bowl era. And I'm not a big believer in that. However, the conspiracy theorists have a lot to chew on from that game on Saturday. And that's what the Bills are up against this week with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is confident. They dealt the Chiefs their only loss during the regular season. I think they're going to be confident going into Arrowhead. But know this, if you're Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, not only will you be going into the Lions' den and taking on a tremendous quarterback in Patrick Mahomes and an all-time great Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid and one of the game's best defensive coordinators in Steve Spagnuolo, you will also potentially be going up against those officials next week. That's a lot for a team to overcome on the road in the AFC Championship game. And as for the NFC title game, you got two division rivals. What the Commanders did on Saturday night was amazing. Jaden Daniels was incredible. Nothing bothers him. Nothing agitates him. He plays with more poise and composure than any rookie quarterback that I can ever recall. Accurate, too, down the field. He was dropping some dimes. And between the RPO game and the read option stuff, I mean, because you have to respect his ability to run, and they used that to open up some holes in the passing game. McLaurin was terrific. Their running game got on track. And look, the Lions just could not get any pressure on Jaden Daniels. I don't know if he was touched while he was in the pocket. Maybe a couple of times, maybe, but he wasn't sacked. He wasn't harassed. He wasn't hurried. He wasn't thinking about that rush at all. And Jaden Daniels and the Commanders tore him up. And I thought Dan Quinn gave Dan Campbell a taste of his own medicine with going for it on fourth down and being wildly successful at it. And look, I feel bad for the Lions fans because they haven't won anything since the 50s. That was their window of opportunity. I was hanging out with some friends Saturday night watching that game. Their window's closing real fast. Why? Because they're losing both coordinators. They just lost their offensive coordinator. He went across the street. In case you're just joining us, Ben Johnson, the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. It was a great move by Chicago. Two ways. One, a great resource for their young quarterback in Caleb Williams. Two, they massively weaken their division rival. And Aaron Glenn, by the end of the week, is either going to be the Jets head coach or the Saints head coach. Let's go to our phones. A lot of you want to talk about the NFL and what took place over the weekend. Charlie's in Tampa. Charlie, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm just going to make a quick coaching comment, and then I want to share a beautiful Notre Dame story with you because we are about 3 hours away from the national championship, if you'll allow me, Tom. And if I'm going too slow, just speed me up, and I'll try to hurry up. But I think someone who is very close to his father, you would appreciate the story I'm going to tell you. But real quick on the coaching changes, I looked it up. Next year, there will only be about 3 to 4 new head coaches in the NFL. Between the teams that get new head coaches this year and the teams that are really set at head coach, next year there's not going to be that many head coaching changes. So if anyone's sitting out like a Mike McCarthy or someone like that waiting for another job to open up next year, I looked at the teams and only about 3 to 5 teams will need a head coach. It'll be a very slow off season. So I caution that if they're on the market this year. That's number one. Now I want to get to my Notre Dame story. I am a product of the Queens area of Bayside, Queens, if you're familiar.
I am.
And we grew up, I guess you could say, Italian Catholics, Notre Dame fans, even though there's Irish Catholic, with a lot of Notre Dame fans in the Queens area. But my grandfather especially, I used to sit on his lap in the 80s and watch Tony Rice and Tim Brown play. Well, fast forward, it's 1994 when the Knicks were playing the Rockets in the finals on Stark's 2-for-17 game. He and I were in Hawaii. We used to travel the world together. And he made me make a promise to him in Hawaii that I go to two places because he'll never make it before he dies, was Notre Dame football field and Alaska. Well, fast forward, 2006, I had never seen my father cry in my life. I grew up in a very old-school Italian household in New York City, and I never saw him cry except for one time when I did this. I parlayed a trip to Chicago to go to Notre Dame's opening day against Stanford in 2006. I happened to get lucky and meet the head basketball scout while I was trying to acquire tickets to the game. He brings me on the field. I take grass from Notre Dame football stadium, and I put it in a Ziploc baggie, and I take my dad when I get back to New York. He lived in Jersey. I said, let's go to Grandpa's headstone. I owe him something. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, let's go. We went to my grandfather's headstone at the cemetery in New Jersey, and I looked up and I prayed, and I said, Grandpa, I kept my promise, and I buried Notre Dame football grass at my grandfather's headstone, and my father started bawling. That was the only time I ever seen my old school father cry in my life, was when I kept my promise to my grandfather. Tonight, whether we win or lose, he and my dad are both in heaven. They're going to be watching. I'm going to be at my TV. My boys are going to be on my lap. Let's go Irish. I love you, Tommy. I love you, Chris. You are amazing men, and tonight it's going to get really awesome. Win or lose, my Irish are in the national championship. Goodbye, boys. I love you.
That's a great, great story, Charlie, and I appreciate that very much. Wow. I was in South Bend once, Notre Dame. Magical place. Great little town, by the way. Awesome place. And look, I wish them the very best of luck. I'm going to be rooting for them tonight. I'm not a real big fan of Ohio State. Ohio State obviously has got the huge talent advantage. If there's one thing we learned from the NFL over the weekend, and maybe it carries over into tonight, you just cannot turn the ball over and expect to win. All the teams that won yesterday and over the weekend in the NFL, 0 turnovers. All of them. 0. Every winning team did not turn the ball over. 888-546-4620. Keith is in Tampa. Keith, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, TKras, man. I'll be quick. You had mentioned earlier, as Bucs fans, this weekend, kind of what we got. And I got to tell you, man, I'm encouraged as a Bucs fan from this weekend. I think we're really close. I was in our losing streak earlier in the year where we lost those 4 games in a row, and they were all one-score games. I was telling, and everybody was like, oh, the defense, and Coach Bowles this and Coach Bowles that. No, we had 12 turnovers in that losing streak, and we still were in one-score games, man. So and then fast forward to our game with the crucial turnover, like in another one-score losing effort. But our defense held Washington to 23 points, bro. And I'm looking at how they move the ball up and down the field on the Lions, and I'm very encouraged. So if we stay the course, and get a little more depth on defense, I'm very excited as to see what we're going to be bringing to the table next year. Hey, man, I'll shut up and listen. Love listening to you guys. Have a great day, man.
I, too, am optimistic, Keith, and I appreciate the call, which led me to my statement from last week, Chris Mathis, which apparently went viral and took off like wildfire. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah. No, it's booming right now.
So I made the statement that I believe that the Buccaneers will be among the league's elite. And the thing that I was thinking about watching, especially the Commanders-Lions game on Saturday night, if you're the Bucs, you don't feel as bad now. I mean, look, the Bucs could have beaten the Commanders. I mean, it was two very big mistakes made on the offensive side. Everyone wants to talk about the defense and bang on Bowles and want to get him fired. But the jet sweep fumble, the defense had a goal line stand against the Commandos. Held them out of the end zone early fourth quarter. You had the ball and a 17-13 lead, and you literally gave it away because of that jet sweep fumble at your own 13-yard line. That was the game. It wasn't anything defensively. So if you're the Bucs, I think you're feeling pretty good about where things stand. And when we come back, I'm going to let you know what else you should be feeling good about when it comes to your Buccaneers based on what we saw over the weekend and the news that we're getting right now in terms of some head coaching hirings in the NFL and everything else. We're going to get into that with you. 888-546-4620. More of your calls and texts next here on The Drive.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
If you're looking for a new vehicle in 2025, may we suggest our guys over at Moss Nissan, where their goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras and Chris Mathis here. And if you're looking for that new car, head over there right now. Holiday hangovers, credit card debt have you down? No problem. No worries. Moss Nissan has the cure. Tell them about it, Chris.
No money down right now at Moss Nissan. Plus, no payments are due until the spring.
Are you crazy? That is crazy stuff right there, but that's the way Moss Nissan does it. And with every purchase, you'll get Moss Care. What does that mean? I've got it on my Moss Nissan vehicle. It's lifetime oil changes and tire rotations for as long as you own the vehicle. It's a beautiful thing.
You're going to get all of what TKras has mentioned, all of what I mentioned, plus you'll get to select from the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay.
They've got 3 locations, Tampa, Newport Richie, and Brooksville, or you can hit them up online at mossnissan.com. That's mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.
WDAE.
Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com.
You're locked into The Drive with TKras, presented by Moss Nissan on WDAE.
4:36 on your ride home. If any of you are even working today, I know it's supposed to be a holiday, MLK Jr. Day. Let's remember the man, the myth, and the legacy he left behind. I know it's Inauguration Day as well, but we're here. We're doing our thing. The Drive with yours truly, TKras, Chris Mathis on the other side, you on the phones, 888-546-4620. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And you can certainly give me your version of what you experienced over the weekend. You can call in. You can text in at 82945. Begin your text with DAE followed by your comments. We're on until 6:30, and then it's our coverage of the College Football National Championship game tonight. Who you got? Up in Atlanta, heavily favored Ohio State, or the upstarts in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? Now, some head coaching news coming down in the last hour. Ben Johnson will be the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, I wasn't sure if the Bears would do the right thing and get the right candidate. They were the team, by the way, in case you missed it from a few days ago. They called the Pittsburgh Steelers and inquired about Mike Tomlin. Did you see that? They were interested in making a trade for Mike Tomlin, and they were rebuffed with extreme prejudice by the Steelers. They also talked to Mike McCarthy, the former Cowboys head coach. But Ben Johnson was always the guy for that job, in my opinion. And I think Caleb Williams is the happiest man in the Windy City right now, bar none. Because now you're getting a guy who for the last 3 years has engineered this Lions offense. And look, the trick plays are something that you've got to be prepared for. I don't like that one play that they ran, on Saturday night late when they were trying to come back and you're putting the ball in the hands of a wide receiver to make a throw down the field. Not ideal. 1 of 5 turnovers by the Lions. And you have to wonder if that Lions window is shrinking. If not, maybe starting to close because of this. You just lost Ben Johnson. Big loss for the offense. You're going to lose Aaron Glenn. He's getting an in-person interview, a second interview with the Saints. He's getting a second interview with the Jets. I think he will be offered both jobs, and by the end of the week, he's going to pick and choose whichever job he feels most comfortable in doing. Now, if I were him, I would take the Jets job. I think it's slightly better, not a whole lot better than the Saints job. Plus, he's familiar, Pro Bowl corner, drafted in the first round back in 1994, spent 9 years there as a player, so he understands what that entire market looks like. And look, he spent some time in New Orleans too, and it's a good problem to have. Choose this or that. But I think both jobs are not very good. I think they're the two worst jobs that are available. But here's my point. I think the Buccaneers right now are in the clear when it comes to Liam Cohen. I think he's going to be back. Ben Johnson's taking the Bears job. Mike McCarthy is still floating around out there. If the Saints don't get Aaron Glenn, maybe they'll turn their attention to Mike McCarthy. But I think Mike McCarthy is going to end up getting one of these jobs too. And the Raiders job, Tom Brady spent a lot of time with Ben Johnson. It was kind of interesting to hear his comments during the game on Saturday night. Listen, Brady's not long for this broadcasting thing. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'll stick by what I said last week. I just don't think he can continue to do both. I think the Super Bowl is going to be last TV gig. That's it. Pick one. You can't do both. I know you're Tom Brady and you're bending the rules, which is something you're used to. And I have a lot of respect for what?
You insulted him a little bit.
What? I'm just saying. That was a deflating loss for the Lions. And Brady was all, oh, come on.
Wow. I'll say this. I love Tom Brady, Tom. I don't think he's that great as a commentator.
No, he's not.
It's not entertaining. Other than the fact that he can give you his experiences, aside from that, he's not very good at it.
I just don't think that he's allowing his true personality come through on these broadcasts. And Kevin Burkhardt's trying to set him up, and I think they work together okay. Kevin's awesome at what he does. He really is a tremendous play-by-play man. But I don't think Tom is allowing his true personality and nature. He taps into his own experiences, which is great. That's why Fox is paying him $37.5 million. Hey, you're Tom Brady. You're the GOAT. We want to hear what made you the GOAT, and you can impart some of that wisdom into the games that you're calling and why teams are not doing what they should be doing. So they are tapping into that experience, that championship level of experience, and I just don't think that they're getting bang for their buck. And if I'm Fox, listen, man, unless you're truly special, I don't think most fans truly care who the announcers are, honestly. So for Fox to pay $37.5 million, I think it would behoove them to get out of the deal too. Just have a parting of the ways. Tommy Boy can send out this press release. I'm going to step away from my broadcasting gig to devote more time to my responsibilities as a part owner of the Raiders, and then boom, that's it. That's how you do it. And you do it gracefully.
Oh, so what's the question?
The question here, Tommy Boy, is when are you going to put that out there? Maybe a couple of months after the Super Bowl when everything kind of dies down, and then maybe right around the draft, boom, this is it. I'm stepping away. I want to devote my energy towards building a winner out in Vegas with the Raiders. That's how you do it. And if you're Fox, you get out of it. Get out of the contract. And let Brady get out of it too. No harm, no foul. And then you could do the smart thing in upgrading Greg Olsen to where he rightfully belongs. Number one analyst working alongside Kevin Burkhardt next year. Or he might go somewhere else. I don't know the nature of his contract. We'll see. But if you're a Bucs fan, I think you can rest assured. I don't think the Jaguars job or the Raiders job are two jobs that I would be fearful of when it comes to losing Liam Cohen. I mean, I think his best chance to go somewhere else would be Jacksonville. And I don't know that you would do that if you're Liam Cohen at this point. Why would you? Just stay right where you are. You've done it for 1 year. You're 39 years old. You can wait for a better opportunity. You never know. The better opportunity could be right here where you know everybody and everybody knows you. All right, more of your calls and texts on the way. Also on the way, more bad news for the Rays. I'll explain why next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
We're into the new year, guys, and if you're still dealing with roof damages, if you're looking to replace your roof entirely, I know we went through a couple of really bad storms and hurricanes in 2024. If that's still an issue for you, then you need to call on my guys over at Green Tech Roofing and Solar, the #1 roofing solution in Tampa Bay. They offer free inspections. They're locally owned, licensed, and trusted by the Tampa Bay community. And depending upon the size of your home, Green Tech can have your roof completed in a single day, and they'll take care of all of that cleanup for you. They do residential. They do commercial. They help me out, too. I had some roof damage after Milton. My guy, John Franco, came over. He assessed the problem. He's like, no problem, Tom. We'll get it done. And they did. I was very satisfied. I gave them 5 stars. In fact, they have over 400 5-star reviews. So get on it. Go to greentechroofing.com. They just redid their website. It is awesome. You'll see many examples of their fine work that they've done over the last several years here in the Tampa Bay area. So greentechroofing.com. Get there. Schedule your free roof inspection.
Low 40, and we're in the 50s all week with rain through Thursday. Get weather info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm Amy Snyder.
Tap into your well-being with Audible audiobooks, podcasts, and originals. Expand your life with expert insight and motivation for better health, habits, relationships, finance, and more. Start listening free when you sign up for a 30-day trial at audible.com.
If you want your windows there in weeks, pick up the phone and just search Reese.
Live across Tampa Bay, The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Is right. Welcome back. 4:52 on this Monday. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. The good, the bad, and the ugly from everything that took place over the weekend. You can give me yours. I'll give you mine. That's coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. It's The Drive. Chris Mathis riding shotgun. We're on until 6:30. Then it's the College Football National Championship game. You can hear all the action right here between Ohio State and Notre Dame. So, in the world of baseball, just the absolute ridiculousness of this offseason continues. The Dodgers keep loading up. They got Roki Sasaki, and then they signed Tanner Scott over the weekend, arguably the number one reliever available, 4 years, $72 million. I look at their rotation, and it's disgusting. Shohei Ohtani is going to be pitching again. You got Ohtani, Yoshi Yamamoto-san, Blake Snell, former Ray. Remember, he signed with the Dodgers. Tyler Glass now. Come on. And then Sasaki is your number 5. And then Tanner Scott already adds to a tremendous bullpen. And their lineup, I don't know, they've got like former MVPs up and down their lineup. How in the world can you compete? The competitive imbalance just continues to wreak havoc in the world of Major League Baseball. It sucks. And for small market teams like the Rays, it's only getting worse. By the way, more bad news for the Rays. Anthony Santander. Remember him? Big numbers with the Orioles. He's staying in the American League East. He signed today with the Toronto Blue Jays. $92.5 million.
Get me out of here.
You got that right. Is right, Neil. So the going is getting tougher in the AL East, as if it wasn't already. The Yankees loading up after they lost Juan Soto. They got mad, so they just started acquiring everybody. Bellinger, Goldschmidt. What's his face? Max Fried, over $200 million. The closer from the Brewers, they traded for him. So they're loaded. And then the Red Sox are like, oh, yeah? We're going to go trade for Garrett Crochet. We're going to sign Walker Buehler. And then the Blue Jays are like, really? Okay. I see you Walker Buehler, and I raise you a Santander. And how do the Rays counter that? Eloy Jimenez, minor league deal. Danny Jansen.
I don't think we've addressed the offense since we last talked.
I don't think you have either, Eric. I think the pitching has a chance to be pretty good, but you can't win if you score 0 or 1 on most nights. And I know Junior Caminero, by the way, is absolutely shredding the Winter League. I saw some highlights over the weekend. My goodness. He could be special, but it's going to take him and Josh Lowe rebounding and Brandon Lau staying healthy. And, Yandy Diaz and the rest of the gang to try and provide some sort of offense. But it's mainly those guys that have to put some runs up on the board because right now, the Rays look like a 3rd or 4th place team in this division. Back to the phones. Mike out in L.A. Mike, what's going on?
Yeah, those darn Dodgers. But the problem is, Tommy, like you said, they're playing within the rules. Baseball needs to have some kind of salary cap like the NFL and the NBA because you're right. The disparity is getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous.
It's awful, and it's not good for the game.
It is. No, it's not. And couple other things real quick, Tom, if you'll allow me.
Mm-hmm.
You were hilarious, dude. You baited Chris. The big hand syndrome. That was beautiful. And then your response was that he handles the balls.
Yeah, listen, big hands, long fingers. Josh Allen is adept in these cold weather games. That's why he's successful more times than not.
You're beautiful, man. That was quick on your feet, brother. And you got to remember, too, Josh went to Wyoming. This boy grew up in the cold. That's all he knows is cold. And it's no big deal for him. Same thing with Saquon Barkley. He went to Penn State. The boy knows cold. That's all he knows.
He does. That's a great point, Mike, and I appreciate the phone call because I got to run. And that's the thing about Josh Allen that I really like. He's a great dude. He's a hell of a football player. He showed Lamar a lot of respect after the game. First person he went up to when the game was over was Lamar because he knows that hurt because Josh has felt it too. So he went up to Lamar. That was an incredible sign of sportsmanship by Josh Allen. And the thing I like about Josh is when he was coming out as a high school player, nobody wanted this guy. Nobody. He used to send tapes to all these schools. He got rejected by everybody. And then the opportunity came along in Wyoming, and he did what a lot of people do who are driven, who are focused to becoming great. He worked his ass off to become the superstar that he is. And I think that's a great testament to his will, to his work ethic, and it's also a great sign and a learning experience for a lot of youngsters out there who are trying to make it in whatever field that you choose. But that is a great story. Josh Allen's story, really awesome. And I wish him the best of luck because I'm going to be rooting for them. I can't stand Kansas City. Not that I hate Mahomes because I respect him. I respect Andy Reid. Travis Kelce was awesome over the weekend. That guy always comes up big in the playoffs. And he always comes up big, by the way. Haven't you noticed this? When Tay-Tay is there. Oh, when his hotshot little girlfriend, when his hottie little girlfriend is there, he plays his best. When she's not there, not so much.
Yeah, I took the over on the 53.5 receiving yards, and I was happy about that.
I took the over on the 53.5 shots of her and what's-her-face, Caitlin Clark, during the game.
Oh, man.
All right, coming up, 2 hours in the books. More on the NFL and the common theme that we saw from the divisional playoff games, plus breaking news out of the NFL in terms of head coaches and hirings being made and how that will affect the Buccaneers, too. It will, in a good way, and that is next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Guys, you know how much I love bourbon, and right there in my liquor cabinet stands a couple of bottles of Chattanooga whiskey. I've got the Chattanooga Whiskey 91. I did have a bottled in bond, and I'm trying to get some more because that is absolutely fantastic. The 111 is also great. But the award-winning Chattanooga Whiskey 91 is a must-have for any bourbon lover out there now that we're in the new year. It's made in Chattanooga whiskey from roasted and toasted grains. And in terms of the 91, that is their signature Tennessee high malt recipe, and it's a malt-forward approach to bourbon. It's made from 4 grains, including 3 select specialty malts. And after aging in a barrel for more than 2 years, it has this distinctive, smooth taste. It's awesome at 91 proof. You can mix it with an old-fashioned. I did it with some people that were over at my place not too long ago. They loved it. You will love it, too. So check it out. Whether it's the Chattanooga Whiskey 91, that's a winner. The 111 is a winner. They have other brands as well. So ask for it at your local bars or your local retailers. I highly recommend it. Drink Chattanooga Whiskey, guys, and as always,
gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up. Because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
He's had the best rookie year of all time. And, that's what records are meant. They're meant to break. And, he's broken, a lot of things. I would say, as a person, he ain't had it easy.
That is C.J. Stroud, Texans quarterback, and he's got high praise for Jaden Daniels, saying that Jaden Daniels has had the best year that a rookie quarterback's ever had, and I think he's right. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. 5:07 on this inauguration day, on this MLK Jr. Day. Great to have you with us. We are working hard at it. It's The Drive with TKras, presented by Moss Nissan. Chris Mathis on the other side. You on the phones. More of your calls coming up. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945 on the Bartow Ford DAE text platform. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, it is kind of exciting, Coach. Not for you. You were just watching at home just like I was, just like Mathis was. I'm going to say this one time. We are not in the playoffs anymore.
How you doing?
Good, Coach. I hope you're having a good offseason. I hope you don't lose your offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. We're going to get into that in a matter of moments. But what you saw on Saturday night was the birthplace of a great player, Jaden Daniels. And we saw it the weekend before against the Bucs, ironically enough. His poise, composure, nothing seems to rattle him. The thing that impresses me about him in terms of playing the quarterback position is this guy's not just a runner. He doesn't just get out there and run around like a lot of other quarterbacks have done. This guy can win in the pocket. And he displays some real pinpoint accuracy. And you saw that on display on Saturday night. He was 22 of 31, quarterback rating of 122.9. He had 51 yards on the ground on 16 carries. But I think his ability to win from the pocket and show that accuracy down the field, that is what impressed me. His yards per attempt was almost 10, which is awesome. He completed 22 passes for almost 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was great. The Lions were not. They turned it over 5 times. I think they were feeling the pressure a little bit. Jared Goff was terrible. And then you had Jamison Williams throw an interception late in the game off another gimmick play, a trick play, if you will, ran by Ben Johnson, who doesn't work there anymore, by the way. Details on that coming up. But the one common theme you saw from all 5 playoff winners from over the weekend, Commanders, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs, what do they all have in common? They both, all of them, didn't turn the ball over. Not once. Bills, 0. Chiefs, 0. Commanders, 0. Eagles, 0. Which is incredible. And turnovers are the single biggest reason why you win or lose games in the NFL, especially when you get into the postseason. Lions, 5 turnovers. You're not beating anybody doing that. And kudos to the Commanders. Kudos to Dan Quinn, who, again, flipped the tables on Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, the riverboat gambler. I like going for it on 4th down. Dan Quinn's like, well, you ain't seen nothing yet, pal. How about a little taste of your own medicine? What was that from the line from The Wizard of Oz? How about a little fire, Scarecrow? The Commandos were 3 for 4 on 4th downs over the weekend. They were awesome. And I was wrong. I thought the Lions would rip them. Coming off the bye week, that building was rocking when the game started. And Washington calmed them down with a 28-point second quarter. So they continue to be a great story. They're on their way to the NFC Championship game, where they will meet their division rivals, the Eagles, who survived in the snow and the cold yesterday thanks to Saquon Barkley and 205 yards rushing. And again, if you're not accustomed to playing in freezing cold weather and snow, you're going to have issues. The Rams are from Southern California. Matthew Stafford lost a fumble. Kyron Williams lost a fumble. Two very big plays. And Apopka's own Jalen Carter dominated that game. He had 2 sacks. Jared Verse was awesome, too. I know he gave the Eagles fans a lot of grief during the week, but he was not afraid of the Eagles fans and their ridiculousness. He played a big game. And unfortunately for the Rams, their fourth quarter comeback was stymied by Jalen Carter, who had that big sack of Matthew Stafford that forced a turnover on downs eventually and clinched a win for Philadelphia. And as for Kansas City on Saturday, look, man, and I've heard all the stories about Kansas City's lucky. They find a way. You got to give them credit. Steve Spagnuolo, tremendous. He blitzed C.J. Stroud a lot when they met in the regular season. He blitzed them a lot on Saturday, and it paid off in a big way. Spagnuolo's tremendous defensive coordinator, and always has been. Not a good head coach, good DC. As long as you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, 7 for over 100 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown where Mahomes is falling down and he lets that ball go and finds Travis Kelce. There's nothing more Mahomesian than that play right there. The Chiefs are really good. Are they dominant? No. Are they really good? Yes. Do they find a way to win? You betcha. Do they get the benefit of the calls? Yes. Yes, yes, and a big yes on the last one. And that's what the Bills are going to be up against next week. You're not only going into Arrowhead and trying to dethrone Mahomes, Reed, Spags, Chris Jones, and their chances for a three-peat, you're also riding the wave of emotion in terms of the officials and how they decide to call that game.
This is the biggest disgrace in the history of World Wrestling Federation officiating. Look at that.
Look at it. That play with Will Anderson. Come on. Patrick Mahomes. He watches a lot of soccer games, doesn't he? A little flopping going on there to sell the call. Look, to his credit, he got it. But I have never seen a team in all my years of watching football that get the benefit of the doubt from the officiating more so than the Kansas City Chiefs. Ever. And that is what Josh Allen and the Bills are up against Sunday on Championship Sunday. Are they up to the task? I think they are. I think Josh Allen's a wonderful player. Doesn't turn the ball over. Didn't have a great statistical game against the Ravens, but again, took care of the ball. Again, Buffalo plays in that cold weather. I was watching Lamar Jackson warming up. His hands are all orange and red from the cold. That's a Florida guy. Up in the bitter, frigid temperatures and the snow and the cold and the wind chill of Buffalo. And I think early on, maybe it was in his head a little bit. Interception and then trying to do too much with the fumble that Von Miller picked up and was scampering down the field before Justice Hill tackled him. The Bills got points out of that drive. Can't turn it over like that, man. I will give Lamar Jackson credit. He bounced back. He was great. I think the Ravens had all the momentum in the fourth quarter, made a great touchdown to Isaiah Likely, and then the unforgivable drop by Mark Andrews by the goal line on a 2-point conversion is something that young man's going to be thinking about for a long, long time.
Nice game, pretty boy.
He also had a fumble in that fourth quarter. Just an awful, awful game by Mark Andrews.
Also regarding that Ravens game, Lamar Jackson had 0 designed quarterback runs in that game. 0.
And I had a problem with that too. Derrick Henry had 5 yards rushing in the fourth quarter. Now, they were behind and they had to throw the ball. Derrick Henry also dropped the ball down the left sideline. He ran an out and up like a wheel route. He was wide open. He catches that ball, nobody's catching him. It's a touchdown. And he dropped it.
And in the third quarter, he started to get some traction there, started to run the ball pretty well, and they just move on from it in the fourth.
I feel for Lamar a little bit. He's going to win his third MVP. However, and it wasn't entirely his fault yesterday, but again, that narrative of him not getting it done in the playoffs will continue to follow him, whether you think it's fair or not. I think Mark Andrews, honestly, if I had to point to one guy that disintegrated the Ravens' chances, it was Mark Andrews. You catch that ball, game is tied, you're going into overtime, Ravens have all the momentum, then who knows what happens? Oh, my goodness.
This is ironic, but before the game, the Baltimore Ravens tweeted out, "A little snow doesn't bother Mark Andrews," and posted a video of him warming up.
I beg to differ.
On, man.
I do beg to differ on that.
Oh, man.
888-546-4620. Text rolling in at 82945. Dumb text. Sincerely, guy, you're an idiot. James, I appreciate the kind words. I worked this holiday weekend as well. James in Tampa. Is that the James that works at Publix? I'm not happy with Publix today. Did I tell you about the chicken pot pie controversy?
I don't know. Was this last week?
Yes, this was last week.
It's still carrying into today, Tom?
Yes. Here's what happened.
All right, what do you got?
So I'm a stickler for this, okay? If you're going to put up a schedule or a menu, you better stick to it because people are paying attention. So I love their chicken pot pie soup. Everything that Publix does is great. Bakery, deli, pub subs, we know it. Awesome customer service. But here's my big problem, okay? And I think this is just the one up in our neck of the woods, Chris Mathis, without calling out any stores by name.
And there are a couple up there, so.
Dude, let me tell you, if you're going down 54, you cannot go more than 2 miles without seeing a Publix, a Chick-fil-A now, or McDonald's. All three can be found every 2 miles now, 2 or 3 miles down the road, because right in front of the new Lowe's, they're building a Chick-fil-A and a McDonald's. And they built another McDonald's right by Sun Lake Boulevard at 54. And there's that McDonald's right by the Suncoast Parkway on 54. It's incredible. So as I digress, so last week, I go into my Publix, and I'm looking for this chicken pot pie soup, and it's there for a limited time. So I went in, I think it was last Sunday, because they said it was on the menu Sunday. And all of a sudden I walk in, and it's not there. It's X'd out, and then they put it on Thursday, on the Thursday menu for the soup. I'm like, okay, I'll come in on Thursday. Guess what? I went in on Thursday, Chris. They didn't have it. And they put it on Monday for today.
Oh, no.
So I went in there today. Guess what?
Wasn't there.
It wasn't there. And then they put it on Thursday again of this week.
Are you going to go back one more time?
I'm telling you, if I go back, I'm going to be raising up a stink.
You're trying to stir shit
That's
up.
right, Baker. I am.
I don't blame you there. I mean, that is frustrating.
Dude, if you're going to put a schedule up, people are like, okay, that's the day that this limited time item is going to be available. You adhere to it. Put it out there. Stop getting lazy. Again, everything they do is great, except the soup schedule. A soup eats like a meal, Jerry, especially when it's 40 degrees outside, like today. And James texted back, yes. My apologies to you, sir. Our soup schedule needs some revamping. It does. If you say it's going to be there on a Monday, put it out on Monday. 888-546-4620. Am I making too big of a deal? Soup? Soup's good. Mike in Clearwater, you like soup, don't you?
Yeah, buddy. I think you need to get Elaine Bennis down there and steal those recipes from the soup Nazi, because that Publix dude said, "No soup for you.
No soup for you."
Maybe you could get the recipes and make it yourself somehow, like Elaine did in that crazy armoire she found or something. I don't know. I remember that episode, but real quick though, I think it's going to be, unfortunately, the Eagles and the Chiefs again 2 years ago. Now we're just playing the same teams over and over again. But hopefully I'm wrong, buddy. Maybe the Redskins and the Bills from rematch of Super Bowl 26. But good luck with the soup, man. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mike. Good luck with the soup. Oh, my gosh. It's Campbell's dumped into a pot and heated up for you. I'm not quite sure it's that simple. I've had Campbell's. It's not great. Not compared to theirs. Theirs is good. But if you say it's Sunday, come back Thursday. Thursday, come back Monday. Monday, come back Thursday. And it's not there any of those days.
That's 3 strikes.
That's it. 3 strikes. You're out.
You're giving him one more chance, though.
I don't know, man. If I walk in there on Thursday and it's not there, then we're going to have...
You better stir up the can of soup, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, to try to stir it up. You got that right.
You're trying to stir up.
Yes. I just want like a chicken pot pie. Stir it up, Baker. Stir it up, Publix. You freaking people. 888-546-4620. We're here until 6:30. That's the ugly part of my weekend. And look, if that's the ugliest thing that happens to you, then you've had a good weekend. Not getting my chicken pot pie soup, which I love. And when we come back, I'm going to give you my good, my bad, my ugly. You can give me yours. You can call in. You can text it in. We're going to have some fun on your ride home. If you're working on this Monday, you're not alone. We're right there with you. It is The Drive. We'll be back.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
Oh, it's getting a little nipply out there. Is your heat working? Is your hot water working? If not, may I suggest you call on my guys, the certified Root Pro Partners and Ferguson HVAC, because air and water are 2 things a certified Root Pro Partner knows an awful lot about. I don't know if they know anything about chicken pot pie soup, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. You can rely on Root to keep your indoor air comfortable. Now you can rely on Root to make sure your hot water is flowing whenever you need it, especially now that it's really cold outside, and it's going to be cold, especially at night, moving forward for the next several days, if not for the rest of this month. Root Water Heating is the industry leader for total water heating solutions. If you need conventional tank-type water heaters, they've got it. Tankless water heaters, check. Replacement parts and accessories for all categories, check and check. Root, R-U-U-D, is your one-stop solutions provider. And with the exclusive backing of Ferguson HVAC, guess what? Your certified Root Pro Partners get the very best products and parts for you. Root water heaters, engineered tough and built to last. For AC and water heating solutions, get on it. Connect with a certified Root Pro Partner. Hit them up online at RudeACFlorida.com. That's Rude, R-U-U-D, ACFlorida.com.
With TKras, brought to you by Moss Nissan on WDAE.
If you're going to shoot, don't talk. No soup for you. All right, welcome back. 5:29 in your ride home on this Monday. The drive with yours truly in search of soup. It is time for the good, the bad, and the ugly from what took place over the weekend. You can give me yours. You can call in at 888-546-4620 or text at 82945. Certainly a lot happening over the weekend with the NFL Divisional playoffs. The Lightning, too. Haven't forgotten about them. They had a nice win on Saturday night. Nikita Kucherov, did you see this? So Nikita Kucherov, accomplishes this milestone. He gets to 600 assists. So he meets with the media afterward, and I'm telling you, I think the media scrum, Chris Mathis, if you could look it up, lasted like 12 seconds. 12.
Let me do some digging.
Cooch just does not like talking to the media. He's very truculent. So he was asked about Vasilevsky. He said a couple of good things, and then he was asked, so what about getting to 600 assists? He's like, cool. That's what he said, one word. Anything else? All right, Sa. And that was it. He got the hell out of there.
Come on, get out of here!
He said, get out. So maybe one of the shortest scrums that we've seen, but that's Nikita Kucherov, man. He's all business. He doesn't really like, fraternizing too much. He just wants to come in, do his job, and leave. Jaden Daniels was tremendous on Saturday night, that big upset win at Detroit. He was flawless. So were the Bills, the Chiefs, the Commanders, and the Eagles. All four of those teams won, and all four of those teams had 0 turnovers. All of them. Just incredible. Jalen Carter, the Eagles defensive lineman, the pride of Apopka. He had a big sack late in that game of Matthew Stafford to put that game away. He had 2 sacks in that game. Saquon Barkley rushed for 205 yards. He was awesome. Also in that same game is in a losing effort, the pride of Florida State, Jared Verse. He's had a great rookie year. He's probably going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. 2 sacks, 3 TFLs. He was stupendous as well. The bad, the Lions, bad. 5 turnovers, Jared Goff, bad. He had 4 of them. And it got worse for the Lions today because Ben Johnson, their hotshot offensive coordinator, the whiz kid, he is leaving to become the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. So not only you lose the game, you lose your coordinator. He goes across the street to the Bears. Oof is right. Mark Andrews, oof, and double oof. The worst game of his life. Now, he didn't talk to the media after the game. Lost the fumble in the fourth quarter and then dropped the 2-point conversion that would have tied the game with about a minute and a half left. Just terrible. Speaking of terrible, and I'm watching this Rams-Eagles game, and the 2 long touchdown runs made by Saquon Barkley. And the common theme in both touchdowns is, look, the Eagles' offensive line did a tremendous job of blocking up guys. But the safety of the Rams, number 3, Cameron Curl, go back and watch it. He took the 2 worst angles that I've seen a safety take, missed both tackles, both went for long touchdown runs by Saquon Barkley. Cameron Curl was also brutal in that game yesterday. Brutal. Equally as brutal was my prediction of the Lions ripping the Commanders in this game. I thought they were going to rip them. I thought they were going to cover the spread. Oh, they're going to score 35, 40 points. No problem. They scored 31, the Lions did. The problem is they gave up 45. Yeah, thanks, Coach. So my prediction was way off. And the ugly was Publix, not coming through with my chicken pot pie soup today, as well as the referees favoring the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think the Chiefs are better than lucky. Would you rather be good or lucky? I think they are both in this case. But again, I've never seen a team get the beneficiary of more calls and non-calls than the Chiefs. It's just incredible. I think
this is the biggest disgrace in the history of World Wrestling Federation officiating. Look at that.
Look at it. Because I think Danny Davis was on the field for that Texans-Chiefs game on Saturday. Terrible. And the other ugly thing was the Dodgers. They get Tanner Scott. They get Roki Sasaki. I mean, who in the world could compete against them? Is right. So more ugliness in the world of baseball where competitive imbalance ceases to exist. So there you have it. The good, the bad, the ugly, my version. Chris Mathis, I know you've got a version as well.
I sure do. Yeah, you know what? A good takeaway regarding the Buccaneers was the fact that their defense looked pretty good against the Commanders in hindsight after seeing what Washington did to Detroit. Also good, in my opinion, is the team that did knock off the Bucs is still alive and trucking there with Jaden Daniels under center, trying to lead that team to a Lombardi trophy. We've got the national championship game on tonight, Ohio State and Notre Dame. That's good. That's real good.
Yeah.
The bad, for me, Houston Texans offensive line. Absolutely atrocious against Kansas City. And granted, we all know the officiating, as you referenced, Tom, was in favor of Patrick Mahomes and company. C.J. Stroud couldn't buy a second in the pocket. He got banged up. They need help on the offensive line. And then the ugly was the protection from the officials of Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, Mark Andrews' performance yesterday as well. Also, the fact that the Ravens didn't have a single designed quarterback run for Lamar Jackson. That baffled me. There's no excuse for that. And another ugly, aside from the Commanders, all other road teams this season and the postseason are 0-8. The Commanders are 2-0. The rest of the teams across the NFL on the road, they're 0-8 so far in the playoffs.
The Commanders are a great story, and it's just another example of how in the NFL, unlike baseball, and you're not going to really find this in baseball in too many instances. They're very, very few and far between. But every year, you see a team that goes from a really bad record to a really good record. Last year was the Texans, because a year before that, they had the second overall pick. They took C.J. Stroud. They lost double-digit games, and in 1 year, they hit on the quarterback. They won their division. Last year, the Commanders won 4-13. This year, 12-5. In the playoffs, they've won 2 playoff games, and now they're a step away from going to the Super Bowl. That's why the NFL and their structure is so sound, so fair, so objective, so impartial that anybody, any of the 32 teams, if you have the right decision makers in place, anybody can go from literally worst to first. Baseball, yeah, good luck with that. Suckers, man, in that sport. And the Dodgers just keep loading up. Who in the world could compete with that? On the text platform, my ugly, I saw Tyreek Hill walking around the Brandon Mall in a tank top with 17 of his kids and his Really? Come on. Was he there with all of his kids? Now, on Friday, we saw and we told you that Tyreek Hill had tweeted, and this is the mentality of some people, by the way, Chris Mathis.
All right, what do you got?
So Tyreek Hill goes on X and says, I'm going to Tampa. This will be a 3-hour trip, which is just nonsense, unless you're going 120 miles an hour. It's more like 4 hours, dude, if you're driving. So.
And she does only run 50 to 80 miles per hour, so.
Yeah, well, no. And then I see on Instagram, people are drawing conclusions like the Buccaneers are getting Tyreek Hill. Oh, I can't wait to get Tyreek Hill. He's coming here. Oh, my gosh. Pay attention. You out. Just because the guy says he's driving here, the Buccaneers have no interest, and he's not a free agent. He's got 2 years left to go in his contract. Stop and pay attention. Those two things are mutually exclusive. Stop and pay attention. If you do both, then you're going to know or have some semblance of an idea as to what's happening. Tyreek Hill, he's coming here. I'm so excited. No, he's not. So the national championship game is tonight. Who you got? In case you missed it, Brett McMurphy was on earlier here on the show. If you missed out on that because he broke a little bit of news as well, 953WDAE.com. You click on the Drive commercial-free podcast. Any segment that you may have missed is right there for you. So he gave us his thoughts on the game as well as the news that he broke that the college football national championship game is coming to Tampa in 2029. So kudos to the Tampa Bay Sports Commission. Rob Higgins, another job well done. We're getting another big-time event coming here. You got the outdoor game that's coming here next year. College football national championship game is coming in a couple of years. Again, remember, it was here in 2017, I think it was, when Clemson and Deshaun Watson, when they won it all. Remember that? So it's going to be very exciting. Florida, Georgia's coming here in a couple of years. So it's a great time here in Tampa Bay when it comes to all these big-time sporting events that are going to take place from here. It would be great if we get another Super Bowl because, we had one, obviously, in the pandemic year. We truly didn't take full advantage of everything that goes along with having the Super Bowl in your town. With all the events and everything, that didn't happen because of COVID, because of the pandemic. And I remember me and Ronnie, we did our shows that week from Radio Row, if you want to call it that, at the convention center. There was nobody there. Nobody. There was one other local radio station that was there along with us, but, it wasn't exactly what we had signed up for. Because having a Super Bowl in our town is just an incredible event, pumping a lot of money into the economy, and I don't believe that we took full advantage of it, and we couldn't because of the circumstances in hand that were going on at the time. I'm kind of hoping that the NFL sees it that way and gives us another Super Bowl at some point, but it's not going to happen anytime soon, but maybe down the road because Tampa has hosted the Super Bowl many times before, and each and every time we've hit it out of the park. And now we're going to get another college football national championship game here. And I have no doubts that we will hit that out of the park as well. On your ride home, a check of traffic is coming up in case you're on the roads. You want to find your way home to watch a national championship game. And oh, by the way, we're off the air at 6:30. We will have live coverage of the national championship game right here between Ohio State and Notre Dame. All the play-by-play can be heard right here beginning at 6:30 on your home of the college football national championship game on WDAE. All right, when we come back, we're going to let you know what's on tonight, plus who you got in this big game. We're going to discuss that, too, next here on The Drive.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
And the weather is getting very cool. It's going to be cold tonight. It's going to be cold all week long. Hopefully your hot air is working. Hopefully your hot water is flowing as well. And here's a reminder, guys. Air and water are two things a certified Root Pro partner knows an awful lot about. You can rely on Root to keep your indoor air comfortable, whether it's heat or AC. They're awesome at it, and they've been awesome at that for many, many years. And now you can rely on Root to make sure your hot water is flowing whenever you need it, especially with it being so cold outside. Root Water Heating is the industry leader for total water heating solutions, don't you know? If you need conventional tank-type water heaters, they've got that. Tankless water heaters, that's what I've got. They have that too. Replacement parts and accessories for all categories, check and check. Root is your one-stop solutions provider. And with the exclusive backing of Ferguson HVAC, your certified Root Pro partners get the best products and parts when you need it. Root water heaters engineered tough and built to last. For AC and water heating solutions, here's what you need to do. Connect with a certified Ruud Pro partner. Go online, RuudACFlorida.com. That's Ruud, RUUD, ACFlorida.com. Don't be left out in the cold. Ruud.
Back on the road in no time.
Get your most accurate home value estimate at DuncanDuo.com.
Now back to The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. What's on tonight with The Drive with TKras?
Yes, sir, and here he is, the executive producer of this fine program, Chris Mathis.
All right, Tampa Bay. You got your Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs on the road. 7:30 puck drop in that matchup. Also right here, following our program ending at 6:30, we have the national championship coverage beginning at 6:30 on the iHeartRadio app, streaming live. Also on 95.3 FM, 620 AM as well. And while you're at it, on that new and improved iHeartRadio app with all these cool presets, go search up The Drive podcast and make sure that is one of your podcast presets and listen to each and every feature, interview, hour-by-hour segment, commercial-free, all right there on your smart device.
I despise him.
Very nice indeed. We have Brett McMurphy joining us earlier. He broke the news that the College Football National Championship game is coming here in 2029, which is great. You got the big game that's taking place tonight. Ohio State's stacked. And right now they're playing their best football at the most opportune of times, which has saved not only Ryan Day's job, but now an opportunity to add to their hardware. And I think the only way Notre Dame wins this game is if they can dominate the line of scrimmage. They can run the ball. They can keep Ohio State off the field. They need a big play on special teams. Marcus Freeman is very passionate about that side of the ball as well. There are three phases. They've got to force a couple turnovers. That's going to be really tough, in my opinion. I think I would take Notre Dame plus the points. I think defensively they're good enough to hang around. But Ohio State's got too many playmakers, whether it's Jeremiah Smith or Emeka Egbuka or Trevion Henderson or Will Howard as their quarterback. I mean, they've got so many playmakers. I just don't know if Notre Dame has the horses on offense. Like, if this one gets into a shootout, can the Irish keep up? I think the answer is no. Again, like you saw over the weekend in the NFL, the Irish will have to play mistake-free football, no turnovers, and Ohio State's going to have to clumsily fall into a turnover or two or three in order for Notre Dame to win this game. But that's how I see it. I do kind of like Notre Dame plus 9, though. I think maybe as a backdoor cover, I think it's possible they can cover the 9 points. But I think Ohio State wins the game. I do. 888-546-4620. Friends over at betonline.ag, they've got the odds up as to who the offensive MVP is. Will Howard right now is leading the way, followed by Jeremiah Smith. And then Riley Leonard, and then Trevion Henderson. Basically, three of the first four players right at the top of offensive MVP odds are Ohio State players. And the defensive MVP odds, four of the first five are Ohio State players, led by Jack Sawyer, who's the odds-on favorite, followed by Caleb Downs. Jack Sawyer, pretty good player. Scooping the score in the last game. As an edge player, maybe some Bucs fans will be watching that game tonight, looking at that guy. Bucs have the 19th pick. Maybe he's a guy that they consider. We'll see. We got a long way to go. I like James Pierce from Tennessee. I don't think he'll make it down there, but it's going to be a long off season. And stocks of a lot of different guys will be going up and down once you get past tonight's game. And then you got the combine, and then you got pro day workouts. So we've got plenty of time to get into when it comes to all of those types of decisions. When it comes to the draft, that is. This isn't good news. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reports that the Jacksonville Jaguars have a second round of interviews scheduled. And among the guys they will be talking to is, drum roll, Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen.
Say that again.
Yes, Jason Light. Also, Robert Saleh is getting a second interview, as well as Raiders defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. So Liam Cohen has made it past the first threshold. He's getting a second interview with the Jaguars. Uh-oh.
And you're telling me of those three guys, there's only one offensive-minded guy right there, Tom.
That is correct.
Uh-oh.
And
Trevor Lawrence, young quarterback, still trying to prove himself.
And that's the kind of hire that I think Jacksonville wants to go in. So now it's getting a little more serious. We thought maybe Liam Cohen was in the clear. You know, the Bears got their guy. Ben Johnson's their new head coach. I don't know what the Raiders are going to be doing. I don't think that's a great spot. The Jets or the Saints have not been showing interest. Cowboys looking for a coach. Nothing happening there. But it appears that Jacksonville has their sights set on Liam Cohen, potentially. Now, he must have done a really good job in his first interview. He's going back for another one. And we kind of knew that was going to be the case from all the players that I've spoken to. I remember talking to Kate Otten, the day after they lost to the Commandos in a locker room, and he talked about Liam Cohen being a personable guy, an affable guy, a guy who obviously is very structured, pays attention to the details. I mean, people who are that organized and structured in life, they go places. They interview well. People who don't are on the text platform making an ass out of themselves, and only those people know who they are, just texting the same stupid things over and over again, looking for, I don't know, a mention. And if I do mention you in a negative light, then it's not for you to wear as a badge of honor. It's for you to seriously reconsider, doing something else with your life. Out of the 941, that Todd Bowles coaching tree getting some branches. Well, it was Dave Canals from a year ago. And honestly, Liam Cohen comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree. I kind of consider him under that umbrella. And there have been a lot of guys who came out from that coaching tree to become head coaches in this league. And Liam Cohen, I think sooner rather than later, is going to be a head coach. I don't think the Buccaneers wanted it to happen this soon. And I know a lot of Bucs fans are not going to be happy. Look, I would caution you by saying this. A, nothing has happened yet. He's getting a second interview with Jacksonville. That doesn't mean he's going to get the job. A couple of other guys are as well. Maybe Jacksonville wants somebody with prior head coaching experience. It should be noted that Robert Saleh, once he got fired by the Jets took a nosedive. They were better with him as the coach, especially defensively, than without. And Jacksonville's defense was really bad. Really bad. Maybe that is what they're thinking about. Who knows? Who knows what Shad Khan is thinking about? Who knows what Trent Baalke is thinking about? And that's the other thing. Is that GM going to be there? Is Liam Cohen going in for that second interview and saying, hey, this GM you got, I think I heard you saying publicly that if I didn't want this guy around, that he would be outie. I don't want this guy around. I'd rather work with a guy that I'm familiar with, not this guy. Would that be a deal breaker? Perhaps. But again, and I'll explain this too on the other side, the pros and the cons of Liam Cohen getting the second interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's coming your way next. Also coming up, the final drive. We're on until 6:30, by the way. And then play-by-play of the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame is right here. Plus, when we come back, the biggest takeaway from the NFL Divisional Playoff weekend and the breaking news on Liam Cohen next here on The Drive.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
Be careful on your ride home because injury accidents can happen to anybody, whether it's an injury accident, product liability, or medical malpractice. If you or someone you love happens to be compromised or injured as a result of someone else's negligence, it happened to me. First thing I did is I called my guys over at Catania & Catania, the personal injury law firm that's been doing their thing for the last 30 years here in Tampa. So they're experienced. They're also highly successful. Almost $1 billion has been recovered by my guys for injury victims just like you. By the way, they're working a contingency, which means there's no cost to you unless they win. So protect your right to protecting mine. They've had my back this entire way after my injury mishap. They'll have your back as well. Here's the number, 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545. Or get a free evaluation of your case online at Catania and Catania.com, where they put families.
Monday from Dunedin to Seminole and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're gonna like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
I mean, we've had a conversation. Me and Liam were very close. We have these type of conversations, what to expect from an interview and everything else. At least you know you're picking the right guy, and we'll see what happens going forward from there. But, you know, if they're not talking about you guys for interviews, then you're probably not doing it right.
Bucs head coach Todd Bowles, when the season ended, talked about his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, maybe getting interviews, maybe getting a look-see from other teams. Well, he's getting a look from one team in particular, and now it's going to the next stage. Welcome back. Good evening, Tampa Bay. 6:07 on your ride home. The Drive with TKras presented by Moss Nissan. Great to have you with us. Chris Mathis on the other side. 888-546-4620. We'll take you up until 6:30 tonight. We're off then because we'll have live play-by-play coverage of the national championship game. Ohio State and Notre Dame. Who you got? Ohio State almost a 10-point favorite now. That line has been going up and up and up. A lot of money backing the Buckeyes. So a lot happening over the weekend with the NFL and the divisional playoff weekend. Championship Sunday matchups are all set. All four teams that won over the weekend had 0 turnovers, every single one of them. And now you're going to have the Bills at Kansas City on Sunday in the AFC title game. Patrick Mahomes against Josh Allen, great matchup. And then you have Jalen Hurts and the Eagles hosting hotshot rookie Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship game. The Commanders with an amazing performance on Saturday night. The Lions not so much in that big win. The Lions turned it over 5 times, and it only got worse for them today because Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, left the team to become the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. So if that isn't a biggest bag over the head punch in the face, as Clark Griswold once said, I don't know what is. You lose the game, the window's closing, you just lost Ben Johnson. Not only did you lose him, he went across the street to your biggest rival. He went to the Bears. And you're going to lose Aaron Glenn because I think he's going to take either the Saints job or the Jets job. He's getting a second interview. Usually when you get a second interview, that means they like you a lot and you could be on the verge of getting that job. So Aaron Glenn obviously is keeping his options open. Very smart for him to go on a second interview with both teams, because if both teams like him, that will only drive up his price. Now, the breaking news regarding Liam Cohen is this. He is getting a second interview with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, obviously, he must have knocked it out of the park with his first interview. Anybody who knows him knows how passionate he is, how personable he is. He pays attention to the details. He brings a lot of energy, a lot of innovation, especially to the run game. The Buccaneers were a top 5 offense in a lot of different categories. And obviously, that will suit him well. That's on his resume. Other teams are taking notice. Jacksonville has taken notice. They had one interview with him, and now they're bringing him in for a second interview. Now, before you get all crazy, Bucs fans, just consider this. They're bringing in 2 other candidates for a second interview, including a guy who's already been a head coach in Robert Saleh. So maybe Shad Khan decides he wants to go with a guy who already has head coaching experience. That would be a benefit and a check in the category of Robert Saleh. Patrick Graham, by the way, the Raiders defensive coordinator, is the 3rd candidate who's getting a second interview. Now, here are the pros and the cons. Well, obviously the cons are, he might be on the verge of leaving Tampa Bay for this job. And that would obviously hurt. But here are the pros to it. there's no guarantee that Liam Cohen's going to be a very good head coach, whether it's here or somewhere else. I'm not knocking the guy, but he's done this offensive coordinator gig for 1 year. He's 39 years old. He comes from the Sean McVay coaching tree, obviously, which gives him a really good push and a boost. And the other thing is this, and I mentioned this too once his name started to come up for the Jacksonville job. Liam Cohen may jump ship and go from Tampa Bay to Jacksonville, potentially. Not done yet. We'll see how the second interview goes. And if he does, you'll wish him farewell, goodbye, and good luck. But he's not going to take Baker Mayfield with him. Tristan Wirfs is not going with him either. Mike Evans is under contract. He's not going anywhere. Bucky Irving, tremendous rookie running back. He's not going anywhere. Jalen McMillan, so on and so forth. Now, the only thing you may have to guard against, let's say he does get the Jacksonville job, then any free agent, especially on the offensive side, would be a target. So, Ben Bredesen, left guard, he may be a target. Chris Godwin is a free agent. Maybe him as a compliment to Brian Thomas. You can't rule it out. That is the other con. If Liam Cohen gets this job, he could target free agents on the offensive side for the Bucs or the defensive side, but I don't know why you would want anyone from that side of the ball. We're talking about the offensive side. Bredesen, Godwin. There are also guys on this staff that he might take with him to Jacksonville. So the Buccaneers might not only lose Liam Cohen, they might lose a number of other guys too on this staff that might follow him to Jacksonville. So again, there's a lot of things in play here, but nothing has happened. The only thing we do know is that Liam Cohen is getting a second interview. So are two other candidates. It just kind of depends on what Jacksonville's looking for. Now, they've got Trevor Lawrence. I would think in an offensive league, you probably would go with the hotshot, offensive-minded guy as your next head coach, although you just had that with Doug Peterson, allegedly, and that didn't work. He and Trevor Lawrence didn't see eye to eye. He's fired. Now they're looking for another guy. And of the three guys who are getting second interviews, yes, Liam Cohen is the only offensive guy. So that's another con in the con category. The pros are he's not taking any of the great players with him. 1. 2, if this job becomes available, this would be the most highly sought after OC job right now in the NFL. It's a top 5 offense with a top 3 O-line, a franchise quarterback in Baker, receiving options. Your tight end position is now 3, maybe 4 deep, and a tremendous young running back in Bucky Irving. Do you know how many qualified candidates would be falling over themselves to apply for this job? The Bucs would get a truly terrific replacement. I am very confident of that because Jason Light and Todd Bowles have hit it out of the park with the first two. Dave Canales, and now maybe Liam Cohen. And the next offensive coordinator will be like, I want that job. I get to work with Baker and that O-line and those weapons. Give me some of that because I know 2 things. 1, it's a top 5 offense. 2, if I get this job and I do what the other 2 guys did, then I'm going to put myself in the conversation to be a head coach in the National Football League. So that's a pro. So we'll just wait and see how the second interview goes, and we'll take it from there. But don't panic like a lot of you want to fire Todd Bowles like yesterday just to elevate Liam Cohen. You know, that's not necessary at this point. Todd deserves another year. He's won 3 straight division titles. Let's be practical about this. 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. A lot of injuries, too, especially on the defensive side. So I think he's bought himself another year. And then if it doesn't work out next year, if Liam Cohen takes the job, it doesn't work out with Todd, then you go find somebody else. the Bucs job would be a great job. Either their OC job or their head coaching job, those would be highly sought after jobs. No shortage of qualified candidates. Let me tell you. So don't panic. Don't fly off the handle if Liam Cohen goes to Jacksonville. Things will be okay. Why? Because the structure remains in place. The owners are good owners, highly respected owners. They let the football people make the football decisions. You got one of the best GMs in the NFL. You've got a great roster that's the second youngest in the NFL. Talent everywhere because they've hit it out of the park in the draft and also free agency the last couple of years. Mainly the draft. That's your general pipeline of talent. That's where it comes from. It's the draft. So just relax, okay? And I see it all the time. I see it on the text platform. I see it on social media. We got to do something. We got to keep this guy here at all costs. No, you don't. No, you don't. Relax, okay? There are professionals at work here, including right here, by the way. You're looking at one. You're talking to one. Most of the time. The Bucs are certainly professionals. Me, sometimes.
Are you professional or not?
Not. Maybe 40% of the time. I am a professional 80% of the time. 80-40.
Those numbers, they don't really add up, Tom.
Yeah, thank you, Chris Mathis. Yeah, thank you.
You can't do math, or you can't spell my last name without math, so.
Oh.
Yeah, I figured I could add 2 and 2.
Yeah, that's
Get those nerds! Nerds!
It's nerdy statement, Chris Mathis. I don't think the Bucs let Cohen walk no matter what. No, you can't say that. Jake texting that in from Orlando. It's not no matter what. I mean, you could offer him more money and offer to pay him a lot of money to be maybe the highest paid OC. Maybe that's something that the Glazers do. But ultimately, that decision is up to Liam Cohen. To be a head coach in the NFL is special. Really special. And it's up to Liam Cohen. I don't know if I want to go work for Jacksonville. I think if he sticks it out, he can probably get a better opportunity, maybe the one here. But, the no matter what comment, I don't think flies here. If he's offered the job, maybe he takes it, maybe he doesn't. All I'm saying is, even if he's offered the job and he takes the job, don't get angry. It's still a really good offensive group. And you'll have a qualified guy that will come in here and be the next OC, potentially. And he will engineer an offensive group that has great talent. Will there be a drop-off in talent? Sure, it kind of depends on what the next guy wants. I mean, this team can run it and they can throw it. And you've got the talent to do both. And whoever the next OC is, he's going to bring in his system. And it's going to work either way. And as we saw over the weekend, that was the other interesting trend. A lot of these teams that won over the weekend, A, they ran the ball pretty well. B, they didn't turn the ball over. I think if you do those two things, you're going to go pretty far in these playoffs. And I think that was an interesting theme that you saw over the weekend with some of these teams. And the other thing you saw was this. Home field advantage is pretty damn important. It is. When you're a team from Southern California and you don't play in bitterly cold temperatures in the snow, yeah, that's probably an issue. And at times, that bothered the Rams yesterday. Matthew Stafford could not hold on to the ball in that one play after he got sacked. When you're playing in those conditions, you've got to tuck that ball away. You've got to sense when guys are around you. Because any little bit of contact with your hands freezing, you can't feel your fingers. If you don't tuck that ball away, it's coming out. And I don't think the Ravens look completely comfortable either. I saw what their fancy little social media department there put on X and Twitter. And, this is not going to faze us. What was the line? A little snow's not going to bother us. Right?
Yeah, a little snow isn't going to bother Mark Andrews.
Was that their headline?
It says, and I quote, a little snow doesn't bother Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews in particular, because they had a video of Mark Andrews warming up before the game.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, what a freezing cold take that was. Pardon the pun. That did not age well. Mark Andrews had the worst game of his career with 2 awful mistakes that he's going to be thinking about for a very long time. And look, I feel for Lamar Jackson because the narrative will continue to play itself out going into 2025. Even though it wasn't his fault, the Ravens lost that game because of Mark Andrews, period. But the narrative's going to be Lamar Jackson in the playoffs again falls short. And I know after the game, Lamar was cussing up a storm, boy. And I certainly understand where he was coming from in terms of his frustration level. In case you missed it, here's what it sounded like after the game. Lamar Jackson just melted down, I think.
And like I've been saying all season, every time we in situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers, we can't have that, you know? And that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, we're moving the ball wonderfully. It's hold on to the ball. I'm sorry for my language. Annoying. I'm tired of
Oh, my gosh. He goes, I'm tired of this blank. Hold on to the blanking ball. And he didn't do it. He lost a fumble, too, and he threw an interception. So, just a disappointing end to the season for the Ravens. Really disappointing for the Lions. So, what would you... I know this is not Wednesday, Chris Mathis. Who would you rather say had a more crushing end to their season? The Lions or the Ravens?
I got to go with the Ravens, right? The Lions had so many injuries they dealt with. At least the Ravens were pretty much at full health aside from Zay Flowers.
Here's why I'm going to disagree.
Ooh.
I'm going to say the Lions. And the reason why is you haven't won anything since 1957. You had home field advantage. You're coming off a bye week. You knew that your window of opportunity was shrinking. Because Dan Campbell knew, those players knew, the fan base knew that you're going to lose both coordinators. They lost Ben Johnson today to the Bears. They're going to lose Aaron Glenn later on this week to either the Saints or the Jets. So that window of opportunity is there. That's why, for me, the answer is the Lions. I think the Ravens will be fine. Tremendous team. I don't think they're losing any of their coordinators. They'll just run it back next year. Get some guys healthy and maybe add to their team. It's a smart organization. It's a good organization. Not having Zay Flowers, that kind of hurt them. They'll still have Derrick Henry for one more year. How much more juice will he have left in the tank? Who knows? But I think for the Lions, it was a more crushing loss because of everything I just mentioned. You lost both coordinators. You were at home. And those fans were thinking Super Bowl. 1957, the last time they won a championship. And they've never been to a Super Bowl in the Super Bowl era. Yikes. Time for the final drive.
The final drive.
And it was a crushing end for the Lions, a crushing end for the Ravens, and for the teams that actually won, congratulations to all four. Except for the Eagles. I don't like them nor their fan base. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, again, is it better to be lucky or good? I think the Chiefs are both. Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great. So is Andy Reid. Steve Spagnuolo, as you saw over the weekend, confused C.J. Stroud, blitzed him, and really knew how to pick his spots when to turn up that pressure. I think the Chiefs are both lucky and good. And for Josh Allen and the Bills, you are headed into Arrowhead next week. You're facing the notion of trying to knock off the two-time defending champs, beating Mahomes, beating Andy Reid, and maybe even beating those officials too.
The final drive.
Guys, kick off the new year by impressing her with a timeless diamond from my friends over at the Golden Diamond Source. Steve and Julie Weintraub. I know Steve's a big Bills fan. He's all happy about this Bills headed to the AFC title game. And look, if you're ready to pop the question, you can find the perfect engagement ring at the Golden Diamond Source. That's what Chris Mathis did. He went to the Golden Diamond Source. He got his engagement ring. He proposed to Lily, and she said, "Oh, I can't believe you got this at the Golden Diamond Source. My answer is yes." And they're happy. And you'll be happy too. Also, make her January birthday or your second or sixth wedding anniversaries unforgettable with up to 15% off garnet. That's the January birthstone at the Golden Diamond Source. Discover Emily too by Emily Johnson Weintraub, a sleek and modern jewelry line that makes everyday gifts extraordinary. And guys, while you're there, turn old, unused gold into cold, hard cash or a stunning new piece. With gold prices soaring, there's no better time to trade up than right now at the Golden Diamond Source. So check them out, 3800 Omerton Road in Clearwater. Always online at goldendiamond.com. Tell them TKras sent you. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Great job, Chris Mathis. Want to thank Brett McMurphy for joining us. Anything you may have missed, go online, 953WTA.com, The Drive. Get podcasts there or commercial-free podcasts through the new and improved iHeartRadio app. Tomorrow, Mike Giannetti is going to join us on the show. Also, John Ledger, plenty of football talk, plus fill in the blank. We're on for 4 full hours tomorrow.